Hello. I presume everyone can hear me now. Hello. Greetings and welcome to Channel Other Doc. I'm Jim. I use he, him pronouns, and this is the premiere of the last mini-campaign of the year, Fiasco. This is a GM-less game by Jason Morningstar, in which the characters have mighty ambitions and poor impulse control. It's basically a game that lets you build your own Coen Brothers movie. We've played it on this channel before in one-shots, which is the usual way that it's played. But we'll be playing a series of play sets this time. We're going to be linking them together in what they call train wreck mode. All 3 episodes will be connected in some way. We've settled on a series of play sets that take place in the Los Angeles area over 3 different eras, and we're starting today with the Los Angeles 1936 playset by Chris Bennett. I have only ever been to Los Angeles once in my life. Maybe twice, actually, but I was a wee lad, so I remember next to nothing. This is going to be glorious. Let's go around and say hi to everybody. I'm just going to go clockwise around the screen. We'll say hi to folks and say who you are and anything you want to tell folks about yourself. And we will start with Alyssa. Hello.
Hello. My name is Alyssa at Origami Shuriken on Twitter. I'm a crafter, writer, artist, gamer, ninja, and I'm looking forward to seeing this train wreck.
It will be glorious. And a new face to the channel, Kirrily. Hello.
Hello, new face to the channel, new face to Twitch. This is my first time ever streaming. So I'm very excited. I beat you. I've been to LA 2 times, passing through on planes. So, I was very happy that my Spanish was very useful there. So that was good. I'm Kirrily Burnett on Twitter, and yeah, I just like playing games.
Yay! Awesome. Well, we are pleased to have you. This is one of the strangest possible games you could have started with, but we are also very glad. Let us move over to Pope. Hello.
Hey everybody, Pope here. Back for another Fiasco. This time we get to explore something a little more hard-boiled? We'll see. Anyway, it's good to be back. It's going to be interesting being in LA, a city that I have actively tried to avoid in my lifetime. So, we'll see how that goes. But as for time travel, well, if you know me, that's nothing new.
No, we're good. And finally, Anino. Hello.
Hi, my name's Anino. You can find me on Twitter at Anino Gaming. And I actually lived in LA for about 8 months. So, as you can see, it took so well.
Excellent. Okay. Well, so we're just going to do this normally. It's we don't actually do the train wreck stuff until the end of the session. We'll go ahead and get this set up. The playset is Los Angeles 1936. I shall read out the score to you, which starts, I needed a drink. I needed a lot of life insurance. I needed a vacation. I needed a home in the country. What I had was a coat, a hat, and a gun. And that is a quote from Raymond Chandler. In Raymond Chandler's Los Angeles, circa 1936, the sun-blinded streets would just as soon put a knife in your back. And the all-diamond-edged glamour of a Hollywood starlet can't save you from a fall off a 30-story building. Enter the black and white world of smoky nightclubs and faded apartment hallways where every crime is shot on location. There are many grand dreams waiting to be unraveled. Are you ready to enter the labyrinth? So, here's how this works. We're going to start by setting up our characters' relationships, and then we're going to set up elements that belong to those relationships. So, I'm going to roll all of these dice. And then hopefully the system will allow me to. Let me actually get the proper cursor there. There we go. Here we go. All right. Now, I'm going to sort these into what I see in front of me. Please let me know if this is not actually what I am seeing in front of me. I'm going to go ahead and sort these into their respective numbers, regardless of what color the dice are. Let me see here. Getting a good number of 4s. Got a decent number of 4s. Go ahead and pull these over here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, this is actually turning out to be a fairly decent spread. Okay. So, by my reckoning, if I have this right, I'm seeing 3 1s, 2 2s, 4 3s, 5 4s, 2 5s, and 4 6s. Okay. Excellent. So, here's how this goes. Usually this is started off by the person who lived in the smallest town growing up, but if you like, for purposes of demonstration, I can begin. I usually do that. The way that usually this works is we go around and we each are going to take a die to get first a relationship category, and then once we have a relationship category, we're going to write that down. We put the relationships between us. This is how we figure out who we are. So we have under the relationships in the if we will turn in our hymnals to the relationships section in the LA 36 playbook. We've got 1 is family, 2 is work, 3 is ships in the night, 4 is romance, 5 is crime, and 6 is community. You can put a relationship type and a relationship element between yourself and another person, or you can put it between 2 other people. It's perfectly fine, as long as we're all okay with it. I do go with I do make sure everyone consents if we're putting people into other people into relationships. But there it is. So let's see. We have a lot of 4s. So that 4 is the romance category. I'm not gonna force that on anybody. So I'm going to go the next category down, which is it's either going to be 3s or 6s. So I think I'm gonna grab I'm gonna grab a 6 to establish a community relationship. I'm gonna put a community relationship between myself and Alyssa, if you're good with that. And so it's going to go around the circle. So it's going to go next to Alyssa. You get to pick out. You can either define that relationship by picking another number, and that actually then, because there's already a 6 on there, it'll go down. Or you can create a new relationship between anyone that's got a card between them on the table there. And in the meantime, I shall type this in. Community.
Decisions. Okay. So I can define.
So you can, if you want, you can define that community relationship by grabbing another die, or you can do what I just did and put it on one of the other cards.
Okay.
And it'll be whatever that number is, that type of relationship.
Okay. Let's say
So you got family, work, ships in the night, romance, crime, and community.
Alright.
Or if you want to define our community relationship, you can grab a die and there are all 6 things there. You could say we're elected officials, bankers, community volunteers, church, civic, or police.
Oh man, right now you could define it and say that you're a police officer. That's cool.
Or you could do something that I do sometimes and just grab a die randomly and throw it down and just say it whatever it is.
Okay. Let's say that Kirrily and I work together.
Okay. Cool.
Awesome. So it's my turn?
Yep, it goes around to you.
Awesome. I'm saying that Pope and I are family.
Ooh, nice. Okay. Good.
In that case, let's define that family relationship. And I will grab the 2.
All right.
And say we're cousins.
Awesome.
Cool. And it's to Anino.
Let's see. I think I'm going to say 5 with Jim. Did I put that in the right place?
Let's see. Okay, if you want it between the 2 of us,
Yep.
That'll be down there. And is that a 4 or a 5?
That is a 4.
Okay. That would be romance.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading.
Five?
Yeah, put the 5 there.
Okay,
Sorry.
5. No worries. That's crime. All right, so we've got a crime relationship of some kind between us. That's cool. And it's back around to me. So let's see. So one thing I could do, for example, is as we've got yeah, I could define the so for example, if I wanted to right now, I could define the work relationship between Alyssa and Kirrily and say that it's they're like, say, if I wanted to grab a 4, I could say working stiff and client, that kind of thing. Which actually, I think I'm going to grab a 6 for that because I think lawyer and client are much more interesting.
That's good. That's what I was going to do.
If you're good with that. Excellent. There you go. All right, now it's back to Alyssa. So we are out of 2s. For example, you would not be able to put a work relationship between Pope and Anino at this point, but if you can do the others. Sorry, I'm over-explaining everything.
Right. Let's say... a community relationship. Civic.
Civic, okay. Cool. I begin to wonder if you are a district attorney. That's over to Kirrily.
All right. I'm gonna make you guys ships in the housing in the night. Hope and Anino.
Okay, ships in the night. Cool.
All right. Excellent, because I kind of wanted that. And for ships in the night, I'm going to grab one of the 4s.
Mm-hmm.
Nightclub owner and favorite entertainer.
Interesting, okay. Excellent.
I'm going to define our crime relationship as thieves.
Thieves. Excellent. Cool. Let me actually grab the right tool to update that. There we go. Excellent. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yes, we're good. Okay. We're still ahead here. Good. So now we've got the relationships all defined. So now we're doing the same thing, but what we get to choose first is a category, which, it's whatever category of whichever the categories you want. We have needs, we have locations, and we have objects. So those are basically the charts that follow the relationship chart. And generally, 5-person game, it's good to have at least 2 needs, but you don't have to. So what you get to do again with the dice is, once you've decided decide which category you're picking from, needs, location, or objects, then you grab a die, and you get whatever element under that category it is. So again, for example, if I wanted to grab one of these 1s and I could give someone a need that's to get out, and then someone else would be able to further define that. If they grabbed, say, a 4, then it would be before someone finds out about you. And so that would be how that would work. So since we are back around to my turn, I should pick something. Let's see. Okay, I think I'm going to I kind of want to use one of these 4s. So I think I'm going to establish a detail of to get respect. I think I'm going to put that, if you're good with it, I'm going to put that between I'm going to put that between Kirrily and Pope. And then we got a need to get respect of some kind. All right. And it goes back over to Alyssa.
Well, if I am a district attorney, then I think I need I need to figure out what numbers are left here. Actually, I'm gonna say I'm gonna pop a 3 over here in between Pope and Anino. Somebody needs to get rich.
Ah, excellent.
And just because I like the concept of them, I'm going to put a 1, or I think a 1, yeah. A 1 over here, saying that somebody needs to get out.
Okay.
Between me and Alyssa.
That's another need. Okay. And we still got objects and locations. If anyone wants to throw any of those down.
There's objects. Because for my delightful criminals, I'm going to put valuables.
Ooh.
So object.
Awesome. Cool.
You got a 1, 3s, 4s, and a 6 is left. I'm gonna go throw a 3 here.
All right. Which table?
To get rich.
Oh, needs? Okay. All right.
That's gonna be a lot of crime.
There will be a lot of crime. Okay. Okay. Goes back over to me. We can only define these things. So let's see. Yeah, the last time I played this playset, I was a cop, so it's going to be interesting being on the other side of that. Quite possibly. Okay. Do. All right, we have a 1, a 3, 2 4s, and a 6. Anino, just so you'll know, when it comes back around to you, the last die, whatever it is actually going to be wild, so you can decide whatever number it is you want under whatever category is left. So looking this over, let's see. I could just complete the chain of to get rich and just define that as through the theft of something valuable. See, through blackmail. Can't do the insurance claim, unfortunately. Murder is always good. Actually, I kind of want to let someone else decide that one, so let me go back up here. You see. Okay, we've got 2 get riches. Yeah, actually, I'm just going to do that, I think, just to make life simple. I'm going to do to get rich through the theft of something valuable. And it's over to Alyssa.
Okay, I'm gonna put a 3 over here. Need to get out of some gambling debts.
Okay.
Not sure which one of us.
I'm going to put this 4 up here, but I don't know what the 4 is, so I'll go have a look. From the police by rattling your friends.
From the police by ratting out your friends. Awesome. That's always good.
Hey, the field has narrowed. So I've got a 6 and a 1. Oh, yeah, this is happening. So we're going to go with Rich through murder.
Ah, excellent. Good. And you get to pick what the object is, basically, that's between two of us, based on the object list. So if you go down to the object category, And it's a valuable, so it's under the valuables category. You can pick any of those 6 things under the valuables category. So,
We'll go with one. The,
you go ahead and have it be one? Okay.
Yep.
Key to a safe deposit box, the Commonwealth Savings and Loan.
I used to work at a bank, and I've always wanted to look inside a safe deposit box, but that would be illegal.
Nice. All right. Well, there we go. Okay. Now now that we've got those elements in place, we have a little conversation to figure out any sort of details that we need to kind of fill in to get this started before we start up the first scene. So, sort of looking this over. I think civic community. So you've got. So I know we had started off saying between Alyssa and Kirrily that the lawyer and client. This is kind of where we decide whether you want to be who wants to be the lawyer and who wants to be the client, because we can still do it either way.
You have a preference, Alyssa?
I am either way.
I can go the lawyer.
Okay.
Okay. And so, which one of you is the lawyer?
Kirrily, me.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. So we know that much about you, and so that means that Alyssa is there's some kind of civic thing going. Wait, I did not write down our civic relationship, so I should go back and do that. Let's see, just so that I have it there. It is community. So, no, it is. No, that's right. No, it's there. I just used the single line, which is why I did not see it. There it is. I'm going to put it on the next line. Okay, so we're both sort of we are possibly both civil servants. We don't know yet. But I'll go around. Let's just keep going around the horn here. So, Pope, your cousin is a lawyer.
We need to find out which one's the entertainer and which one's the nightclub owner.
That is an important thing.
But guessing by your outfit, Anino, I'm pretty certain you're the entertainer and I'm the nightclub owner.
That's fair. Your entertainment is an accordion specialist.
You are the king of polka.
That's right.
You are the polka king.
Squeeze us a song, the accordion man.
Yeah.
That was more popular back then, so.
Yeah.
The polka king is also a criminal involved.
That's fair. Yeah. So, yeah.
Involved some sort of civic servant.
Yeah. Yeah, so the two of us are thieves.
Yes.
And apparently between us, there's going to be either we can say in the past or that's going to be coming up something about a key to a safe deposit box.
That's right.
So, I mean, we'll figure that out as to kind of sort of how we're doing this together. So I guess what I need to determine is what kind of thieving civil servant am I? Evidently, I want something that's in the safe deposit box. But I guess my plans are going to be more to share it with whoever the other civil servant is. There are certain things you can just sort of decide if you want. Does anything speak to you that you would like to have happen as your character?
All right, who's that directed to?
That's toward anyone.
Oh.
I have this idea, though, Jim, as for what your job is.
Oh, yes?
Certified public accountant.
That's possible. Yeah, no, that would give a connection to the savings and loan. So that could I can totally see that. Yeah.
Also, you could have been fixing the books and helping the Poker King avoid taxes.
That's fair. That's very good. I can totally see that. Yeah, I'd be happy with that. The
Like,
could be
go
just I'm
full
an
co-
accountant. Could be I'm an accountant that works at City Hall for whatever reason, and or just one of the City Hall accountants. I might do. I'm a tax accountant probably.
Actually, you could be full on IRS.
I could be full on IRS. Oh,
Let's
God,
go
you're
full
listing all the
Coen
dullest
Brothers.
account. You're listing all the most dull accountant types I've heard of.
Yeah, like let's just
Fair.
go full Coen Brothers because we're already in the outlandish land, which they like to focus on incredibly mundane people in incredibly insane circumstances,
that's fair.
as well as very colorful characters. By costume alone, Anino is the colorful character. And then we have this incredibly painfully banal, mundane individual deep within the seedy underbelly.
Yeah. No, that's going to be good.
I'm
Yeah, no-
just curious with the specific tie between this accountant and whoever Alyssa is.
Yeah. So there are gambling debts that are involved between you between her and the lawyer. So if Alyssa is the one with the gambling debt, I mean, I feel as though it might be that Alyssa might be the one with the gambling debts, but that's up to
I
you.
might be.
I think considering I need to rat out friends to the police and I'm a lawyer, I think I'm looking more and more like squeaky clean as it goes.
Yeah, that's probable. That's probable. So I mean, that said, I think that if yeah. So yeah, you're probably so yeah, whatever it is that you do civically, and you could be Alyssa, you could be anybody civically. So you could in fact be this is imaginary. We don't have to worry about reality. So we could say, like, for example, you could be the mayor if you like. Or you could just be someone who works in the. You could be a senator. You could work in, or it could just be something on the city level. You could be some kind of politician or other. You could work with the police possibly if we want things to get really dangerous.
Someone with a gun, that's always good.
Yeah.
Anything strike you as what you would like in particular to have as what you would like to do?
Oh boy. What if I am what if I am a police officer of questionable intent with gambling debts?
This is good. I like this.
Detective of dubious intent.
That's fair. That's very fair. So yeah, I think I am going to. I think if that's the case, if you're a cop, I think I am going to. I think I am going to join the IRS. Because that gives a bit more latitude moving around to different things, if need be. So that's good. That's very good. Cool. So yeah, that does shine more light. That actually, I think, gives us a decent amount of information.
Yes, quite an about face from the last time I was a cop.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And considering all the shady nonsense going on, I think the nightclub runs numbers. As well as sports betting, because did a little research. 1930s LA, they had pro football, there was the big dog track. There was a lot going on sports-wise. So betting was high. Also, we're just 3 years past prohibition.
Yeah.
So people are boozing it up a lot more. People are trying to cut loose more, and they can do it in the open.
I'm wondering if the who it is that you want to kill might be like a sports figure or
Actually,
someone else who's trying to fix the bets.
I have an idea. Because this is Coen Brothers. I need a horse dead.
Oh no. That could be a thing. Let me ask briefly. I'm just going to ask this. Does anyone have any any lines in particular with animals being made deceased during the course of this? If so, we will avoid the horse actually coming to harm. But it is good to know these things.
Could we have the jockey instead?
Yeah, we can go after the jockey.
That'd be great.
Oh, most definitely, we can go after the jockey.
Yes, I'm okay with hurting a fictional horse emotionally.
I think killing off the jockey
Killing
would
his
definitely.
favorite jockey.
I think killing off the jockey
We're
would do
gonna
that.
get attached to this fictional horse, but the jockey's probably a jerk anyway.
Yeah. I mean, who needs him?
This tiny Napoleon needs to die.
Yes.
So kill the jockey and we emancipate the horse. It's a good
Yes.
plan.
That's always good. Yeah. I like this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it. Cool. Awesome. So let's see. I think we've almost got enough here for what we kind of want to do. We might want to get some. We need to get some names for ourselves. And I am going to now go to the name generators to grab said things for myself. I know we need to name a nightclub, and then we might probably need to name a horse and a jockey. But more importantly, we need to name who it is that we're playing. And once you have your names, let me know, and I will type them on the overlay.
Sure, I like this. Silas Webb.
Silas Webb. Okay, let me. Silas.
Yes, Silas. Silas.
Okay,
And then Webb with 2 B's.
gotcha. All right. Got your set there. Let's see. I think I'm going to go.
I'm gonna be Claudia Black.
Claudia Black. Okay. Who is an attorney of some kind. We're getting name suggestions for the horse. Getting Desperate in Des Moines or Velvet Sunrise.
I like Velvet Sunrise. I appreciate Velvet Sunrise.
I appreciate a good Velvet Sunrise too. Haven't had one to drink in ages. No, wait.
Actually, I would like with the jockey, looking at chat, I want it to be this terrible thing. Rafael Napoleon de la Paz.
Raphael.
There you go, Jim. Just write that now.
Yeah, I can write it down. I'm just it's interesting. Is that with an F or a PH?
That is with the F.
Okay. Could you repeat it, please?
Raphael Napoleon de la Paz.
Is that with an S or a Z?
Z.
Okay. All right. I have typed it down below in the Roll20 for folks who want to see that.
That feels like a mix between French and Spanish.
Oh yes, he is a tiny tyrant.
Yeah. Nice.
The emperor of the track, he must die.
Glorious.
I think my accordion player's name should be Tony Clifton.
Oh my god. Well, Andy Kaufman's dead, so he can't sue us. Yeah, sure. I can go with that.
All right.
Assuming that he's not faking it, which as many people suspect he is.
Well, my name's Charlie Chandler.
Righto. Cool. I should actually also put. Oh no, it's all right. Okay. Cool. Let's see. Yeah, sure. This will be weird. My character's name is Foster Herzog.
So it's your internal monologue that's narrating this.
In a sense, yeah. I'm not necessarily. I haven't decided if I want to go full German with him yet, but it's a thought. Excellent. Okay. Do we have all the detail? Are we comfortable with all of their details here? Do we want to flesh anything out further before we start going into scenes? I'm just grabbing all the dice now.
Between me and Pope, is it I'm the one that wants to get respect from the police by ratting out my friends, and that's potentially also my cousin?
I think so. I think Silas is shady.
Yeah. All right.
Also, just with it's noir. It's LA. Like, you're this bright, shiny civil servant, and while I obviously have an unhealthy polka obsession, I'd probably rub like shoulders with celebrities, know like people at the studios on a first name basis, and all I do is sling drinks and get artists to come and play at my stage, while you actually have a job. So I am just like this despicable cousin who is just gliding through life.
And I mean, there's always a position in the mailroom if you ever decide to take up that offer, turn your life around. Like, I'm sure the club scene is fun, but it's not a job.
Pay is good, drinks are better, and I get to meet more interesting people.
Yeah. Interesting is one word.
Oh yeah, I love these two already.
Nice. Very cool. I'm trying to make a decision as to whether because I remember that there's polka, so I have the urge to go full German, but I don't know if immigrants are allowed to work at the IRS. That's the only.
Pins on how long they've been naturalized.
Yeah. If it's been a while, then it's possible.
Then yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. That'll work. It's also 1936. Oh God. Anyway.
Could have left before the First War.
Yeah. 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 I specifically picked a non-German first name, but we'll see. We'll see how well that goes.
Parents could have been immigrants.
Yeah.
It could
it's
be
entirely possible.
first gen.
Yeah, it totally could have been. It depends on what comes out when I start speaking. I think that's really what's going to determine it. Okay, so we've got our characters together. So, do we want to go ahead and launch into or do we have anything else we need to determine, or are we going to go ahead and launch into the first scene?
I think we're good.
Okay. All right. I think in a few minutes, we're sort of getting close to where we would probably take our first break. We can either do a scene or two first. If we're feeling still good with this, we can do a scene or two first and then go into break. Would we be good with that? Or
yeah, I think let's knock out 2 and then go back.
All right. Okay. Well, it's back over to me. So the way this works is when it's your turn. So you get 2 scenes per act. Everyone gets 2 scenes per act as we go around. And when it's your turn for a scene, you get to decide whether you want to establish the scene or resolve the scene. If you establish, everyone else at the table resolves. If you resolve, everyone else at the table establishes. To establish a scene means setting up the scene for that character. Saying where they are, what they're doing, and anyone else that's in that scene, and also involves recruiting people. We can recruit folks. We can recruit each other to play NPCs if we're not our other characters in that scene. Anyone can throw stuff in during the scene. This is a group sort of storytelling effort. If you're resolving the scene, that means you decide whether it's going to go well or poorly. Sometimes, and in a lot of scenes, as you get through, you sort of figure that out halfway through the scene or as it's going on. Sometimes you don't figure that out till the end. But if it's going to go well, then you're going to end up giving the person whose scene it is a white die, which, again, if you chose to resolve, then you just take it. Or if it's going to go badly, they're going to get a black die at the end of the scene. And then at the end of the scene in Act 1, they give that die away. But we'll jump off that cliff when we come to it shortly. So, I think I'm going to establish a scene for my character. So I think that this is going to be either. I think it's going to be a scene either with me and Tony, or me and Charlie, and so to sort of tell us more about various relationships, what's working, what's going on. I think I need to hear about what it is. I need to know about the safe deposit box for this to work. So I think I'm going to set up a scene between myself and Tony, something where he's going to let me where somehow we're going to find out about this safe deposit box and how to get the key. So I think that I think this will be a scene where I'm going over his where I'm sort of helping him with his taxes. This may be something where, like, he's just maybe. Do we feel as though Tony wants to be careful with his numbers, or is he just being audited? Maybe I'm auditing you.
Well, if you were auditing me and we were both thieves, I think you would probably just fudge the.
Well, that's the thing. That's kind of, I think, where we're going to
Yeah.
get. I think that's going to be the result of this scene, probably.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I've always wanted to do this. Yeah, I think Tony is going to you to basically help him with his taxes.
Yeah. So this is a thing where it's like where you're coming in. Maybe it's. I mean, this is just like the this could be like the first appointment for when you're getting audited. And so you're coming in, and I happen to be the officer that you're seeing for it, and we're going to something. I think something will happen during the scene where you're going to mention the possibility of this, whatever this thing is. That there's a safe deposit box that we might gain access to the key of, and that will perhaps strike interest. I think that's kind of what we're looking at for this scene. So what I'm gonna basically try to get in this scene, and it's always a good idea to decide or have in your head at least what your character wants in that scene, if it's your scene, so that you can more easily, so it'll be easier to tell by the time you get to the end of it whether the scene's going well or poorly for them. So I think what I want is to basically squeeze you like one of your instruments to get anything valuable out of you that might be the case. And we'll see how that goes. I don't know whether it could be friendly, it could be otherwise. I don't know, but I guess we'll just sort of start where you're coming over to my desk, and I think this is one of those offices. It's got like IRS offices where you're going to have them. I don't have my own office. It's like there are several desks here in like a common room in an IRS building, and you basically it's your turn, and so you're coming up and we're looking over your papers. I think that's how we're going to start the scene.
Okay.
That. All right.
Wait, so am I at your desk and we're starting there, or am I approaching the desk?
I think you're approaching. I think maybe you're just approaching the desk at this point.
Okay.
So I'm kind of sort of going over and finishing off a thing. All right, next.
Hey, stranger. You see Tony Clifton's stumbling up to the desk. He's got a very large case, which probably houses his accordion, and because he brings it everywhere with him. And under his other arm, he's got a shoebox. And so he just plops the shoebox unceremoniously on the desk and is like, so I'm not really sure how these taxes thing work. Usually just have someone else do it.
Yeah, that's fine. Did you bring your papers?
Yeah, they're right here in this the shoebox, and he's just going to give that shoebox a big slap off the top, which will cause the lid to fall out, and then inside you'll just see a bunch of like crumpled up receipts.
I see. Are these your only records?
Yes, pretty much.
This is going to take some doing, probably. Okay. Yeah, have a seat, please.
Sure. Is it okay to play music in here, or should we?
I don't know that this is exactly. I don't know that they'd exactly appreciate it. What do you play?
I play the glorious instrument known as the accordion.
I just sort of look up, and there's like a small ding that hears. Oh yeah, what kind of accordion do you play?
A really expensive kind. I'm pretty sure there's a receipt in there for it.
And just sort of looking your face. By the way, as this is going on, I just want to make sure I make this clear to everybody. That everyone else who is not me can at some point decide this scene is going to go well or poorly for me. And if you want, you can indicate that by wiggling one of the dice, if you don't want to say it. And we'll kind of aim in that direction.
So well is white, and which one is?
If it's going to go well, it's white. If it's going to go poorly, then it's the black dice.
Okay.
So I'm like, yeah. Huh. And I'm just sort of, there's something familiar about, just sort of start looking over some things. So I sort of pick up the paper. This is basically, he's a small, mousy guy. He's got glasses. He has these big glasses. He's wearing the, he's not wearing the green bill because that's only if you're counting money. I think, if I remember right. But he's got kind of those damn it, vocabulary. The things that shirt garter type deals, basically. And he's just sort of looking over your papers, and he says, Clifton. Tony Clifton. It's a polka artist, Tony Clifton.
Yes, that is indeed true.
Oh my goodness. Well, it is a pleasure to meet you. I think that yeah. I just wait for Tom to go to lunch, then we can then you can go ahead and play that thing. It would be delightful. Yeah, well, let's see if we can see what we can figure out about this. And just sort of sitting there uncrumpling pieces of paper. I'm just kind of looking at it and then looking at them and sort of still like, this is going to be, and is you don't by any chance you don't have any. These are all just the receipts basically. You don't have. Do you have any sort of ideas to which one of these are all business expenses? Yeah, I assume.
Yeah, totally. And you'll see he'll pull up a receipt for what looks like it's a liquor bill from 2 years ago. Yeah, well, nothing but business.
I don't know if I don't know that we normally consider the purchase of this much liquor to be strictly business related. What kind of event was this at?
Oh, this was just my normal every night performance. It was a Sunday. I think it was a Sunday.
Huh.
Because, I can't obviously buy liquor on Sundays, so I had to buy a lot on Saturday in order to carry me through Monday.
Right. That's unfortunate.
It totally is. I don't know what I was going to do with all of these receipts. Usually my late wife's family handled the finances. Peggy Kaufman. But unfortunately she has passed under mysterious circumstances. And, her family was not exactly fond of me.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
I know. No respect for the accordion. They always loved their harpsichord, though.
That's this must be a heck of a thing. It's being able to afford a harpsichord these days. Sort of looking through. So let's see. Do you have your any income statements here?
What are those?
Yeah. This is going to we're going to be here for a while, trying to sort this out. I'm going to do my best for you, but I do not know, just from the state of these things, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not looking good.
Uh, I mean, how much could I possibly owe?
Well, according to our initial assessment, and he sort of goes over and pulls up some papers. He looks at it. You owe upwards of 1930s. You owe upwards of $30,000.
Oh, that is quite a tidy sum. If only there wasn't a will in contention. I might be able to access this safe deposit box, which could cover the cost of that such thing. But been a bit of a dispute over that.
Interesting. So I assume this is a. Yeah. If you willed something, then of course that's not. That's. In a particular case, that's not taxable, or something like that.
Yes.
Interesting. So this is someone from your. I assume this is perhaps your ex's family is contesting it, yeah?
Pretty much. The key is in the hands of her estate lawyer at the moment.
Interesting. It sounds like this would be I can only begin to speculate, but this would be a tidy sum, yeah?
I would say so. Peggy did love to set aside quite a bit of money. Yeah. The depression wasn't so great for us. I mean, you can only just imagine how much an accordion player would have earned during those times.
Hypothetically speaking, let's say for a moment that, say if you knew someone who knew someone that might be able to gain access to that key, perhaps. To having things open through different from usual channels. One would presume that this is something for which you might be willing to perhaps, let's say, provide something of a bit of a work fee of sorts, yeah?
Yes. I would say so. If, certain tax problems were to disappear.
Mr. Clifton, I feel as though we are about to be in business. And I think that's probably where we'd cut it, unless anyone... did anyone want unless anyone wants to... It's not my decision whether this is going well or poorly, so it's up to you folks to decide if you want this to suddenly take a south turn.
I think this is going well for now.
Yes. It's always... this is Fiasco. It's always for now.
It's unclear whether like... Tony is taking you for a ride or not. That's the bit that I'm confused about.
Oh yeah, I think we might find that out later. But yeah, for now I'd say it's going well if you folks are good with that.
Yeah, I think
then I'm going to go ahead and take this white die, and this is the first act, so you give the die away. And I'm going to give this white die to Anino. Now, the idea is toward the end, you want to get, if you want your character to do well in the end, then you want to get a lot of the same color of die. I play to lose because this is a game where people have mighty ambitions, and our jobs, as I see it, is to fail at those ambitions as spectacularly as possible. But we'll see how these go. So that's my scene, and now we will go over to Alyssa. Do you want to establish a scene or resolve a scene? So this is a scene for your character, for Charlie.
Okay. I have no idea what sort of scene I want to establish, so let's say I'll resolve a scene.
Okay. So that means the rest of us decide what situation to put your character in. So we're deciding how your character is getting introduced. So let's see. Charlie is a crooked cop. So how do we want to introduce Charlie's character? Does anyone have any ideas?
I've got two. One, her going over discrepancies in a case with Claudia, or her asking for an extension on her debts from Silas.
Those are good. I think if we want to, I think it'll be good to establish kind of what the relationship is either way. I'm feeling kind of the, I think it might be good to explore the lawyer-client relationship thing going on. Yeah, because and that way we can sort of establish sort of what the situation is, kind of with the with her modus operandi typically, and what's kind of going on there. And I mean, the debts can come up possibly because this is something that is apparently sort of shared between that's a need shared between the two of them. So this could be a meeting partially about that. But yeah, I mean, always there is a need to talk to your to a lawyer after dealing with a case in which the outcome was questionable.
All right. Charlie Chandler, you were my 3 o'clock appointment. I'm on my way to the courtroom. What do you need now?
I need a lead. I need a break in this case. I need a drink, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere else.
So my question was mostly based on the fact that you have come to my office. So I appreciate the need for a drink. I assume you always need a break in your case, but why have you come to see your lawyer and late?
I apologize. There was a traffic incident. I need you to help me out of a sticky situation. I've got a lot of pressure coming down on me. And I need you to help me clear my name.
Hello.
Okay, well, I have 15 minutes before I should be at court, so I will already be late to court. But come in, sit down. I can probably do something about that drink that you need, and you can tell me what the situation is.
All right.
No, just been feeling sad.
You seem rattled beyond your...
No,
I
help, but it's not that.
I owe somebody some money, and I've been trying to get that promotion, and it's not working out for me because I've been taking heat at work.
No.
So I just have a lot on my plate right now.
Okay.
Understandable. The cops are... You are a very important part of the city's infrastructure, and I can imagine that you often have a lot going on. And here's that drink I promised you. Hopefully that's to your liking. And I don't quite see how I can help. If you have gambling debts, you should work out a way to pay them. Although I will say that as your lawyer, gambling is against the law in most jurisdictions, so I would suggest not doing that anymore. But if you must, then you should start paying them off.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Are you afraid that this in some way... Are you about to be implicated? Do you think the person who... are you able to pay them off?
Not all of it right now.
I see. So perhaps then you're worried that your position on the force may be in question if somebody finds out that you have these gambling debts.
Yeah. Well, you can understand why.
Yes. Yes, they don't... Well, the force doesn't look too fondly on people who are police officers and mess with criminals at the same time. And I'm guessing that the people that you're gambling with aren't upstanding citizens.
No, I was in a bad spot.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do. You give me some names of some people who... the person who you owe the money to, or the organization that you owe the money to. And what I will do is I will speak to them, and we will sort out some sort of pay-as-you-go scheme. Not pay-as-you-go, you could pay a little bit each month. And that way you're showing willing, and hopefully that way they will... I'll get them to sign something where they won't be able to divulge your name. But that will be on the proviso that you do not continue to gamble or tell me about it, because right, you have to be careful.
A bit late for that. But
Okay, so do you have some names that you can give me then? I've got a piece of paper.
sure. There's a certain nightclub.
Okay. And what would the name of the nightclub be?
That's an excellent question. What was the name of the nightclub?
The backstop.
You tell me the name. If you tell me the name, I just like pause and I try not to show anything. And I just go, is that the one on the corner of 5th and that other street?
That's the one.
Right. I mean, well, of course I know of its existence. I know that that exists. And you're saying that the people that you know frequent there, or are you saying that they run books there?
Little bit of column A, little bit of column B.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Sure. Okay. Look, I will speak to somebody there. I'll see what I can do. But I'm very late for court, so I do need you to be getting on. I'll let you know. I'll get a message sent to you to let you know how this works. But again, no more gambling.
Of course. Straight and narrow.
Okay. Brilliant. It's been very good working with you, and I know it's a very hard job. I understand there's lots of stresses. You've had a bit of a drink, that should help, and just buck up, and maybe just a friendly game of Snap with friends, where you just where you bet lollies. That's a fun game. Try that next time you're feeling a bit on edge.
Just like when I was a kid.
Absolutely. Back. Beautiful. Okay, I've got to be getting to court. And I see you out of the office as I go.
Alyssa, you get to decide if this is going well or poorly for you.
I don't see that there's any possible way that it could go well.
Well, that's the thing, is you have narrative control here, so you could declare that suddenly I'm noticing something about.
I mean, Charlie thinks it's going about as well as can be expected. Alyssa thinks it's gonna go horribly eventually.
My recommendation is to focus on the now when it comes to making that choice.
Well, it's okay for now.
Okay. So yeah, it is. Is there anything else you want to add to the end of the scene to represent that, or is it, or are you good?
No, I think Charlie's probably just gonna heave a sigh of relief and kind of sneak out and hope nobody was paying too much attention.
Okay, cool. So do you want to take a white die for that?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
All right, you get one of those white dice, but you give it to someone. That's all right. So who do you want to give the white die to?
All right, I'll give it to my lawyer and hope
Excellent.
for the best.
Yay! Awesome. I actually just was curious. Is Charlie a detective or more of a beat cop?
I'm thinking, since I said trying to go for that promotion, probably a beat cop trying to make detective at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. We're going to go ahead and go to break for a little bit. We'll break for a few minutes, and then we shall return to see what else we can do to these poor characters. We'll be back shortly. to chat a little bit about a few things. Once again, this is me trying out break content. To see how it goes. So I've got Alyssa and Pope here with me, who's very graciously taking some time out of their afternoon to come and say hi. This is for us in the past. You've probably been seeing us play Fiasco for a little bit so far, and this is being pre-recorded so we could have something to show during the break a little bit. And so I just wanted to start off talking a little bit about noir genre stuff, because this playset that we're doing today, it's Los Angeles 1936. It's very heavily based on Raymond Chandler stuff. So I thought I would just sort of ask around and see what other folks have done kind of in that genre, or have had any interest in anything in that genre. As far as RPGs, so prior to this, what sort of noir stuff have you done, folks?
Shadowrun, and period pieces for the World of Darkness, which with Vampire, you can do that classic sort of Fox studio era, black and white, shades of gray, third man sort of nonsense. But Shadowrun just takes the noir genre and decides to thrust it into the future with elves. A lot of the same tropes, stylings, notes that you get in noir get hit in those games. Secrets, the character tropes of the femme fatale is something that's a commonly used thing in those games. The heavy, so like there's the bad guy and then there's his henchman, and then you have the regular henchman, and then you've got the big guy. So that sort of thing, as well as just one of the, like, almost to the point now, roleplay tropes of investigation, of hitting the streets, talking with people in bars, and back alleyways. That those sorts of things that you just gobble up in the noir genre. And like time in Shadowrun, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but I always end up playing face. So I'm the guy that is in those bars talking with those people, while other folks are sharpening their knives or trying to hack into things. So having those conversations in those smoky rooms is something that is just part of who I am at the table. Because it's those conversations, those interactions, those sort of like either a bit of respite and you find someone that's a kindred spirit, or super high tension because you can't give anything away because you're lying and you have to, and you're just hoping that while they're giving you the information, they haven't caught you and everything's legit. But you never know when you leave that place whether or not you're going to get tailed, shot, or worse.
Nice. Did you primarily run or play?
Primarily played. When it comes to me running, that's far more modern and far less noir.
Nice.
Tonality, I'm good as a player for that, but getting that unique mix of oppressive, but not so much so that it becomes horror, is a very delicate balance.
Yeah.
As well as delivering tone through description, because there's these certain little notes that you have to constantly have in the back of your head in order to sort of deliver that as an ST. Usages of environmental descriptors are so key. Stuff like lighting, weather, smells. These are things that help denote the places, as well as the fabulous locations in noir. Whether you're doing a European sort of romp, where you're doing the third man stuff, where you as this American hard-boiled detective or British hard-boiled detective, insert thing here, are traveling through places that are not native to you and getting those descriptions of the structures, or some of the things that we'll be exploring in the future, going to the past and hitting very specific notes of, are we on a studio backlot, diners, hotels, and those bars in those hotels, or oftentimes, back alley out behind a restaurant, or hitting up a laundromat that we know takes care of this person's clothes. These sort of things in places, and it's not just going to the laundromat, it's also describing the things like the steam, the smell, time of day.
Yeah.
Those are all things that are just key to playing noir.
Awesome. Well, Alyssa, what about you?
I haven't. I feel like probably the closest I have gotten to playing noir was maybe Bad Streets, because it was the detective genre.
Yeah.
Although it's obviously the wrong decade, but we had a lot of those investigative, pounding the pavement scenes, the going undercover. Dresden Files as the book series is very got that noir detective kind of feel, though the one shot that I ran did slant more comedy.
Well, you had both Anino and me in that, so you knew it was going to go that way.
A lot of games that I play in and run tend to lean into more of the comedy anyway, so there's nothing wrong with that. But I do enjoy reading and watching the noir sort of genre as well.
What is it about the Dresden Files specifically that you like that sort of plays into that?
I think I really like the procedural investigation, the mystery. I like that kind of balance between gritty and humorous. I think that's a really kind of really enjoyable aspect for me as well.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that seriously. Raymond Chandler influenced so many people, including some of my favorite authors, including Jim Butcher, including Roger Zelazny, who I've referred to before on this channel many times. It's sort of so it just really sort of fed into a lot of these genres where you have crazy things going on and someone just trying to put the pieces together and figure out what the heck's going on with it. So it blends, I think, surprisingly well with fantasy and horror. Folks got to see that here on this channel. I ran Deadlands Noir. I also ran Deadlands Noir for a 3-year campaign. That was so much fun. Because there was all that investigation. I kept, there was a murder that happened at the very beginning, and they finally, toward the very end, they figured out who did it. But there was there was a mob war going on at the time, so it was a little hard to pin anything down at that point. But that was a lot of fun, and of course, folks have seen Dirty Secrets that I've only done on this channel, but it was also a lot of fun, just sort of a build your own sort of type deal. Kind of similar in some ways to Fiasco in that you're making it up as you go along. And just sort of leads with the tropes, and you figure out the story from that. So that's always very cool. So I am pleased to see noir-based RPGs whenever they're out there, and so that's why I have so much fun with this playset that we're playing with today. Thanks so much, folks. I appreciate your chatting with me about this.
Thank you.
Now we must kick it back over to ourselves, or the break if we're not done panicking backstage. We'll see. See you all soon. We have returned. Strangely, that was exactly the amount of time we needed, so that's good. Always pleased to hear that, to have that happening. So, let's see. We are at, of course, but the trouble is, I've actually got all the faces messed up. Wait, let me fix that. Well, not all the faces. I have a couple of the faces messed up. Let me put them in the right place. There we go. Because of course, there. All right, we're good. It is Kirrily's turn. Do you want to establish or resolve a scene for Claudia?
I think establish a scene.
Okay.
If I establish a scene, does it have to? Can I say it's a different time during the day?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can go forwards or backwards. You can do whatever you like.
So I think I might go visit my cousin at his nightclub.
Sure. Yeah, totally. So what is it? Is it basically like that evening, or is it before he opens up, or?
I think it's before he. Like I've been to court. I did my work, and it's before he opens up.
Okay. Cool. Is there anyone else you want to have there, or is it just going to be basically you and your cousin?
I think it would make sense if the. Oh, I can't see your character name. Hang on. Tony.
It's Silas.
Tony wants to be there as well, and that would make sense, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's totally up to you because you're establishing, so you can pretty much if you would like him to be there for the scene, you totally can say he's there. It's up to you.
Okay, well, I think I'll just make a beeline for my cousin first, and then Tony can be in the club, and if he decides to interrupt, then that's that.
Sure. And no, that works totally because also the rest of us get to sort of resolve the scene, so we get to decide if things start going well or poorly for you. So that's cool. Anything else you want to set up, or do you want to just get going?
No, that's okay. You can get going.
All right.
So I'm just sort of holding my bag, looking very uncomfortable. Kind of a severe looking woman, and I'm walking in, and Silas, I was wondering if we could have a word. I don't know if you have an office in this place or.
Yes, I have an office, Claudia. I'm surprised you're even here. All right, let's mosey on upstairs. Go up this catwalk that is clearly just off to the side of the stage. Go up, and above the stage is the office. Have a seat.
Yes, well, it's original. I hope everything's up to spec. Wouldn't like to suddenly fall through the floor or anything like that.
What's this about?
Yeah, well, okay. Of course, I wouldn't be here if I didn't want to be here.
You don't want to be here, but you're here.
Yes. Fair. It just I have felt a familial duty to you, Silas, that it has come to my attention that perhaps somebody in your business might be running an illegal gambling ring, and I thought you ought to know, so that you could, what? What?
Every club in LA has gambling, whether the club wants it or not. That's just a fact of life in this town. Hell, there's legal gambling over at the track. It's just a part of the city. And if the cops are going to come over and try and bust stuff up, well, that happens. That's just risk of doing business.
So you know that there's gambling being run from your club.
I am certain that there's at least hell. Sometimes the back room gets rented out by a couple of the glitzy types that want to play cards.
Sometimes the back room gets rented out. Sometimes, Silas, if you know this is happening, you have to.
Plausible deniability, plausible deniability.
Well, that is a legal term, which I'm pretty sure you don't know what really means, and it doesn't mean
they rented out the room. I don't know what they're doing.
You just said maybe that. Okay, look, it's fine. It's fine. All I wanted to do. This is obviously not news to me that there is criminal elements in the city. It is, however, news to me that my cousin is amongst it. That's fine. Listen,
Okay, I got this club from my dad, your uncle, when it was still running during Prohibition. Do you think they were giving seltzer water to everybody?
No, obviously, but Prohibition was a terrible idea, obviously. That is why there is legal gambling at the track, because saying people just flat out can't do something doesn't work. I know that. I'm not some goody two-shoes. I understand that people need their vices. I gave a police officer a drink this morning. I am with it. All I am saying is that
is the cop in some sort of trouble?
What? These two things. What?
Okay. I got a couple of blues that come in here every now and again, have a drink, talk with a few people. I don't necessarily cut in, but hey, if they're, run numbers and have a bit of a debt, is that what this is about?
I love the running numbers under your breath, like as if you don't know that's exactly what's happening with people in your club, because you just told me that is what's happening with people in your club. That's not what this is about. This is about the fact that I heard there were people doing gambling in your club. Apparently you're a part of it as well, and you understand, and that's fine. That's fine. I would like to repeat my offer that there is an entry-level job at my office in the mailroom, should you ever want to buy your way out of this business.
I could bust my butt in that mailroom, getting what, maybe $2.50 an hour?
Yes.
One night in the club with one good star, if I can just be slinging drinks, maybe charge cover, I'm pulling in close to, 4 figures in one night. I'm not going to be pushing papers for the city when I can easily be setting things up. Should some wonderful person waltz into my life, I will be able to, get a house with them, travel. I can do that here. I can't do that there.
But can you do that knowing you're taking money from families' mouths? You said you have a couple of blues that come in. Do you not think that they have wives and children who are hoping that they won't, lose the house at one night at your...
It's up to them to gamble and drink responsibly. Everything in moderation, cuz.
Yes. And humans being responsible is how I have my job. That makes complete sense. This is fine. I'm going to go. I have a lot to think about. Look.
You got a name? Or is that attorney-client information?
No, I'm not. No, I don't have a name for you. I'm not ratting somebody out to you. This is fine. I wanted to give you a heads up that there was gambling at your club. Clearly you already know. That's fine. I have things
Every owner knows that there's gambling in their club. They don't necessarily, know who's doing it. All right.
Okay. Thank you. I think what you're saying is that you're doing it. And so
I'm not
that's
saying that.
look, we
What?
all have our lives and we make choices, and you're making these choices, and that's your business. I'm just saying, don't come to me if you get into any legal issues with these live choices, because I do not support them. And then I walk down it, and I'm going.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
I like trip a bit.
I feel as though that's definitely was a bad ending for you for that scene. So, you get a black die. Who would you like to give it to?
Oh man, I just think it's all going to end up bad for me. So I want to give the black tie to myself, but I'm not sure if that's right.
Unfortunately, you cannot give it to yourself during the first act, sadly.
Okay, then I give the black die to Silas because he's a dirty nightclub owner.
Excellent. He has betrayed your trust.
Pretty much.
Excellent. So it's round to you, Pope. Do you want to establish or resolve?
Oh, no. You all get to resolve. I'm establishing.
Okay.
So this is later on that evening, after Clifton's finished his set. So it's Tony, Silas, up in the office. Place hasn't necessarily closed yet, but it's winding down, say like 1, 2 in the morning. And they're going over the hall, the take-in from that night. Ready to go. So, how's life been treating the Poker King?
Well, the crown weighs a little heavy in this parts. There's so many different polka groups coming up nowadays. It's I find myself worried that I'm going to start sliding down the card a little bit here.
You still packed the joint, so that was fine. I mean,
yeah, that's true. It was a lady that stormed out of here.
Oh, that was my cousin. That was earlier on. She's wound way too tight. She was one of those who were all about teetotaling back in the day. Like, oh no, she's a headache, but she's blood. So I put up with her.
Yeah. So apparently you're the one with all the fun in the family, huh?
I got the fun. She got the funds. But speaking of cash, I think Sammy ran the numbers. Just slides these wads of bills just over to you.
Oh.
There's your cut.
Well, thank you. I learned today that this is called income. And this needs to be on a statement.
I mean,
who knew, right?
If you need receipts, I can start, making invoices for you if it's going to be trouble.
I don't know what an invoice is.
It's sort of like a bill of service. Have to do stuff for doing liquor and all that. Look, I can start seeing about printing you out invoices when you come back. However, since it's just you and I, sorry about your old lady, but how's that inheritance coming?
So it's not. And oh, there seems to be a little bit of a dispute with the in-laws over the whole thing. That they feel like I haven't been able to adequately explain how it is that Peggy had met her untimely demise.
Do you know who's investigating?
No, I do not. But I don't really think they're going to throw the book at me for something like that, because I didn't do it. I'm just a humble accordion player. But the estate lawyer has all the documents, and I think he's leaning towards settling in favor of the in-laws. Personally, I only really want what's inside the safe deposit box, just because that's sort of been the rainy day funds that she had been squirreling away.
Safe
Probably.
deposit box. What bank?
The Commercial and Savings Bank down on 24th Street.
Huh.
But I'm not really exactly sure how much money would be in there. I just got back from the IRS office, and apparently I owe about $30K. I didn't know that you needed to pay taxes annually. But Peggy handled all of that.
Yeah.
So I could focus on my art. But here we are. And I need to come up with some money to cover that.
Well, that'll make a dent, but only a dent.
I guess if I just don't drink for the next week, but
Oh, okay. So, like with the Peggy incident, I know some people who can get things, but there's trades involved. And like last time, these folks need things. If it wasn't 30K, I wouldn't even mention it. But one of the gentlemen I know has been having problems with a particular jockey down the track. Guy's doing too well and doesn't want to listen to reason. So if something like what happened with Peggy happened with him, I'm certain that they could get the key for you. You don't have to answer now. I just bring it up because I know you're in a bind. We've been doing this before, but if you really need it, they can get the key for you.
I mean, I've never really heard of the ideas of the sweet sounds of an accordion playing someone to death. I mean, Peggy was found in the arms of her swarthy foreign lover. So I'm not really sure where we're going to find a swarthy foreign lover to seduce a jockey like this.
Tony, if anyone's a people person, it's you.
I mean,
So,
I do love a challenge. I don't think they could really convict me of anything if I was drunk at the time either. So,
hey, we can get you drinks. I can always get you drinks, Tony. But you think on it. You don't have to answer now. I'll at least float the thing by Bobby and his boys. At least getting them on the entire bank thing. All right. Well, you take a cut. You're still gonna be in town. Well, you're being audited, so you're gonna still be in town. Anyway, you take it easy. I'll see you around. If you need a drink, just stop on by, and I wish you the best of luck.
thanks. Always looking out for me there, Silas. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
Do we think that Silas is getting what he wants in this scene? Is this? Do we think this is going well for him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. All right. So if that's it, then yeah, that'll be a white die, and you get to say where that goes.
I'm giving the white die to Tony.
Cool. Excellent. So, Anino, it's your turn. You get to establish a scene or resolve a scene for Tony.
So what's his resolving scene?
Okay. So yeah, if you choose to resolve, that means that we decide to put Tony in a situation. We all set the scene and determine what's happening. But at some point during the scene, you get to say that, well, this is going to go well for me, or this is going to go poorly for me. And you take the appropriate die, and then things unfold in the scene in sort of the way that you're kind of saying.
All right. Well, let's do resolve a scene.
Okay. So what do we want to do to Tony?
Oh.
Jeez.
Who does Tony run into? Does he run into the accountant later, or does he run into somebody else? Who does Tony run into?
Yeah, we sort of need to get him over the hump where he's just kind of thinking about taking you up on your offer until he's like, oh no, this is what has to happen.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so there are a few different options. If we're looking at additional pressure, then maybe there's well, there are a couple of possibilities, where it's like I part of me, for some reason, I want to put him together with Claudia, but but I don't know if there's enough connective tissue there yet.
Not yet.
To have them run into each other and have something going on.
I think it's the cop. I think if he and the cop maybe at a gambling table that night or something and work out, if the cop works out that there's a way that he can get his gambling debt absolved because he can like get in with this trope.
There's a really good brunch at the track. A really good brunch at the track.
I swear, I'm not here to gamble. I'm just here for the food.
No, back in the day, it was actually the track had like the best buffet in town. So, and it was one of the first places where you could actually drink. They got their liquor license early. So they had full bar and all you could eat with the box overlooking the track. So how about these two meet in the buffet line?
Yes.
We could have that going. The tricky thing is I'm trying to figure out how that The main thing is I'm trying to figure out if that in any way, if there's a way that puts pressure on Tony, and for a way to figure out what Tony is trying to get in that scene, so that we can figure out so he can figure out if it's going to be going well for him, that kind of thing.
Well, these two could be commiserating over mimosas.
Oh wait, I've got it. They're losing.
We're losing.
They're definitely losing.
Of course I'm losing.
They're losing at the track, at the buffet, commiserating over mimosas and prime rib.
They're like both there trying desperately to get to use gambling to get ahead, and it has not gone well as the horses that they bet on. Possibly they bet on the same horse. And
bet on the same horse. It came in fourth because Napoleon pulled ahead on every single horse and got third each time.
Yep, there it is.
Yes. They start to hate the jockey.
Excellent. So, is that enough material, do we think, to get them started?
Yeah. This is like their third pass in the buffet line.
Yeah.
And, like, we'll say, like, this is on a Sunday, so it's super crowded, so they just end up at a table together.
Yeah. There are probably a lot of people milling around also, and this is sort of a very big thing. So if at some point you want NPCs, we can come in as NPCs too.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, go ahead.
So Tony's trying to cheer himself up in the line. He's sort of muttering some lyrics. The lyrics to All You Can Eat. He's trying this really new funky beat, but it's probably way ahead of his time at this point. So people are just looking at him really funny because he doesn't seem to be making any sense. But he's sort of throwing it off because, you know, he does consider himself an artist. So but then the lyrics start turning into hatred for I'm sorry, what was the name of the jockey who rides Velvet Sunrise?
Raphael Napoleon de la Paz.
Yes. So he starts hating on that guy.
Certainly creative.
Yeah, well, I know, but it doesn't pay as much as I'd like it to be.
Can't argue with the sentiment, though.
Yeah, you placed your money on him too? Yeah. I'm not much of a gambling man, which is probably why I am coming out of this with less money than I came coming in.
Yeah.
Funny how that works. Your first time here?
Not exactly, but you know what they say. Some guys get all the luck.
You know, I don't really think a lot of people would like that guy either.
No.
But what are you gonna do? Name is Tony Clifton, by the way.
Oh, hey. Chandler. Charlie Chandler.
All right. Well, nice to meet you, Charlie. Might as well go grab a table and finish off this food.
Sure.
Do you find it fun gambling here?
Well, if nothing else, the food's great.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I'm only here because I could use a little extra cash and, you know,
can't we all?
yeah. So much for quick cash here. I mean, I guess there are some other ways that you can earn some quick bucks, but I don't know if other people like those ways. What do you do for work, Charlie?
You know, following my old man's footsteps. We're 4 generations of cops in my family.
Did you ever shoot somebody?
Why's that always the first question people ask? Nobody ever asks, did you ever save somebody?
So, have you ever shot somebody?
No.
Oh. So, hypothetical question: if you were to shoot somebody, do you think you could get away with it?
Well, that depends on the hypothetical situation now, doesn't it?
I mean, I suppose if it's a matter of timing. I mean, we all know who the number 2 horse is here, and if for some reason something were to happen to the rider of the number 1 horse, and were to place a sizable bet which guarantees the, winning of the second horse, and that could be a lot of money for people who place bets on the second horse. But maybe that's just too wild. I'm just a musician. What do I know? Have you heard about these things called income statements?
Yeah, there's a lot of paperwork that goes on down at the station. It's a surprising amount of paperwork.
Yeah.
You gotta file so many reports.
Yeah, I'm not much for paper. Can't even read sheet music half the time. I sort of just wing this accordion.
Play it by ear?
Yeah.
Well, that's a talent.
Yes.
Where do you play?
Play at the backstop. You heard of it?
Oh, yeah, I stopped in there a few times.
Oh, yeah? Get in any on the card games there?
Well, I could tell you, but then I'd have to shoot you.
But could you get away with it?
I guess we'll find out. I'm just kidding.
He laughs, but it's a very uneasy one. Yeah. Well, I should probably get back to the club and get the big band ready to go. Sunday night shows are always a draw.
Well, hopefully you'll have better luck at the club than you do here.
Yeah. But maybe I'll see you there.
Maybe.
I think that's it, unless anyone else has anything to throw in.
So, so you get to decide whether the scene is ending well or poorly for you. So if you wanted to attach anything else to it.
I think it kind of went poorly for me.
Yeah, because you weren't able to really get to.
I wasn't really able to get her to commit a murder on.
Yeah, that's fair. That's understandable. Okay. Who do you want to give the black die
Darn.
to?
Wait, are you saying I can't give it to myself?
No, you cannot. Not during this
No.
act. No.
But I can give this black die to theoretically anybody associated with the scene in some fashion.
Well, anybody on the table for whatever reason. It can be completely. It can be. It doesn't have to have any connection to anything. Just you can give it to any player.
Oh,
Just pure spite.
yeah. I'm going to give it to Pope because,
There you go.
we were working on that murder.
Yeah. No, that works. All right. So it's back around to me. I'm gonna. I'd like to establish a scene, which strangely enough is going to be also in Tony's interest, but he's not in the scene, because I think this is where we need to sort out, sort of show a little bit of the relationship between Foster and Charlie. My supposition is that I have been kind of helping during those times when Charlie gambles and wins. I have kind of been helping to hide that income, I think, in exchange for a percentage, a bit of a kickback. And so we kind of have this relationship where occasionally, it's like you occasionally do things for me, I occasionally do things for you. And so I think that I'd like to have us meet at a watering hole somewhere, and we could potentially the club would be an interesting coincidence. I was just sort of basically thinking of going to a bar that Charlie frequents when they want to be alone, to kind of have this conversation.
Actually, in doing research, you know what was around at this time? And also served drinks? The Brown Derby.
Oh yeah.
Also not too far away from the station.
Yeah, that's the was that were those buildings actually shaped like derbies? Yes, they were. Okay.
Yes.
There it is.
It was a
Cool.
restaurant. And
Awesome.
bar.
We could do that. Yeah, we can go to the Brown Derby. That's fine. I don't know if that's would that have been too upscale for Charlie to afford. That is a question.
Or you could hit up the Woolworths. The counter's one of the largest lunch counters in
that's fair.
the entire U.S.
That's fair. They serve they serve drinks at Woolworths.
The malted kind, not the alcoholic
yeah.
kind.
I like to kind of set this, if I may, is in a bar. I'm basically what I'm trying to get in this scene is I'm trying to engage Charlie for certain nefarious activities, and we'll see how this goes. Because everyone wants you to do things for them, and so I kind of like to set this in just sort of like a kind of at a bar, and we're going to retreat to a corner table. And so I think I think that's basically just sort of come in. This is the one stipulation I want to make is this is not a cop bar.
Right. Obviously not.
Yes. So I'm going to come in. I've got a newspaper under my arm, and also a sort of file folder type thing, and sort of like a. Did they have soft briefcases back then? They must have. Sort of coming through, and sort of tip my hat. Officer Chandler, a word, if you please.
Sure.
I'll get that drink here. Yeah, put that on my tab, would you? Yeah, and
Appreciate it.
I just sort of head over to sort of guide you over to a corner table. I have. So how are things?
You know, could be worse. Could be better.
Yeah. I imagine so. Yeah. Yeah, I hear things have not been going that well down in the for certain folks. So it's understandable. Yeah.
Good luck.
No, that's unfortunate. I have a potential, shall we say, then a potential extracurricular activity for you, should you be at all interested.
You don't say.
Once again, as you can take it or leave it for this, but it would involve doing some things a little bit off the books.
What else is new?
And just basically, this drink is served, and he sort of toasts these. It's some type of whiskey. Basically, we'll drink it, and he's visibly very. His personality seems very different from who he is at work. Basically, as he's talking about this. Yeah. So, there's a potential for a rather interesting score coming up, should you be at all interested in that.
Well,
An item of value.
I could really use a little extra cash.
Yeah. So there's
I
a...
don't have to tell you about that.
No, of course not. This fellow came in as he's being audited. And has pointed me, as this client has pointed me toward a rather interesting keys that can be obtained. It's a deposit box key.
So?
Oh, yeah. And it would be fairly simple. Now, the target, to be fair, is an estate lawyer. There's one holding the thing. But it's very simple enough, one would think. If it would be rather unfortunate if there were to be, shall we say, someone were to break in and take things. If it were, and in the course of like an ordinary smash and grab, they go and they grab things. They happen to get this key, then that could cause any number of things to happen. Would have to be, of course, probably in early morning. You'd have to time it very precisely because after they get in, it would have to be at a point where we could get into the bank.
Sure.
Get it before they make it into their office. I can, of course, assist with a bit of distraction in that regard, most likely. As it's an estate lawyer, I'm quite certain that we can schedule a tax meeting to give you a bit of time. But, yeah. Preferably, this would be a morning activity. You go in, you get it, and then we can find out what's in the box. Just long enough, at least, you'd have to keep them tied up long enough for us to go and find out what's in the box, and then see what we want to do with it. Now, what do you reckon? Do you think that might be an extracurricular activity you'd be interested in?
Well, and you say you don't know what's in this safety deposit box.
Well, it's something that's going to cover at least 30K.
Well, beggars can't be choosers, I suppose.
No, not at all. The thing being, once we have this, then we have essentially leverage over the person who's trying to get at it. It's we have, shall we say, a certain degree of deniability.
That's always a bonus,
Yeah.
considering.
At any rate, it's just simply the question. Is this something you, is this a job you think you might want to take on? I mean, you know what, I presume you've seen enough breakings and enterings to know what they look like, yeah?
What do you want me? Yeah. I know how to do it right.
Yeah.
I know how not to do it. That's not the problem. All right. Just this once. I get out of debt. I'm done.
To financial stability. And I actually feel like that's probably the end of the scene. I feel as though that went well for me, if you folks agree.
Yeah.
There's no way this could possibly bite us.
No.
Yes.
The great
It
thing
went
about
well for Herzog, it did not go well for Charlie.
Oh,
No, it did not. But that's the cool thing. That's the interesting thing about games sort of like this is you start running through the white dice early, is you know that it's going to curve downward rather sharply as it gets closer to the end. I'm going to give this white die. I'm going to give that to Charlie for their generosity. And it's over to you to establish or resolve.
okay. Oh boy. Well, now I suppose Charlie has to figure out a way to figure out the timing of this. Charlie's probably gonna, maybe figure out people's schedules. When the Charlie knows whose beat is when, so that's not going to be so much of an issue. Just figuring out when the state lawyer is going to be out of the way. Pick up an extra night shift so I can be free in the morning. So I guess the question is, am I just like casing the joint for an hour? Are we gonna just go ahead and?
It's whatever you'd like the scene to be. If you're establishing the scene, you have the power to say,
Okay.
I'm emerging from there from there with a box. It can also be like a really, if you want, it could even be a really short scene. It doesn't necessarily have to be a scene between these two characters. It can always be a thing where it's like, I'm doing this. It can be a quick little action thing, and then we decide whether that goes well or poorly. That's always an option.
So I'm gonna say, hey Murphy, didn't you say you wanted Friday night off so you could go to your wife's family's dinner thing?
Oh yeah. No, I would like to go. Yeah. So you want to trade shifts?
Yeah. I'll cover for you.
Oh, sweet.
I could use the hours.
Oh, you're on hard times. Hey, how about this? You cover for me for the next 2 days, and your evening shifts, I can pick those up later.
Yeah. No worries. No rush.
Okay. Well, you take it easy. I'll see you in a couple of days.
Yeah. Have a great time with the family.
Toodaloo. Gotta run. I have to pick up a few things from the grocery store for the missus.
Yeah.
That was very pleasant. I think that went well. Act 2
So
is
nice.
going to be
Nobody's
so
ever
dark.
gonna suspect.
Yeah. If we're good with that, I'm just going to give you a white die for that. If that's,
Sure.
I assume that's all you wanted to do in the scene there, just basically set that up.
That's pretty
Okay.
much.
Okay. Who do you want to give the die to?
Oh, let's see. I guess I'll give it to you.
Okay. Awesome. All right. And it's back over to Kirrily. You want to establish or resolve?
Establish, and I think I'm so sorry, Alyssa, but I think with Charlie as well. Yeah, clearly it's starting to become the main character of this particular movie.
Play to lose.
I think somehow, I don't know, we don't have mobile phones, so somehow I've like called him in to explain what I've got solved so far regarding his debts.
Okay. And what are you going for in this? Is there something in particular you're trying to achieve in the scene?
Yes, I'm trying to achieve him becoming an informant.
Ah, excellent.
With me ratting out everybody at the club.
Excellent. Awesome.
I don't think it will happen, but that is what my character's trying to do.
That's very cool. Excellent.
All right, Charlie, thank you. Look, pretty much on time. 15 minutes, between lawyer and client, that's not that bad. Come in. Come in. Now listen, is it too early? Do you need another drink or?
No, I'm good. I've got my coffee. I have my.
Brilliant. I like to see that 8 a.m. is too early for you. It is always good to have a point, which I don't drink myself, but I understand some people need it. And 8 a.m. Good work, Charlie. Okay. So, and I sit you down in the chair, but I don't go around to my chair. I'm just gonna stay on one side of the desk, and I'm just leaning up against it. I'm like, okay, Charlie, I went down and I spoke to members at the club where you have mounting gambling debts. I spoke to them, and I have a suggestion because they weren't forthcoming in a way that you might have liked. But I do know, Charlie, that you want to make detective. That's right, isn't it?
Sure.
And why? Why do you want to make detective, Charlie?
My old man wants me to make detective, and I got a family reputation about told. I'm gonna make the old man proud.
Absolutely. Yes, a soaring family reputation in this line of work. And I understand, familial pressure is a lot, but do you also want to become a detective so you can be a force for good and you can be one of those really cool men with the cool hats and be the leader at a crime scene, Charlie?
Well, hats, they look good.
Very good.
I just wanna, I've made some bad choices, and I'm trying to fix that.
That is commendable. It's commendable. And do you know, Charlie, you might not know this, but being a lawyer, I know that there are such things as dirty cops that end up taking bribes and end up not upholding the law at all, really, and kill people and steal. And
Sure. There's a lot of temptation on the Force.
There is, and I understand that you have these debts. This is my suggestion, okay? Because I have things I need as well, Charlie. And one of those things is I need respect from other members of the Force. And currently, because I don't have their respect, they aren't very good witnesses for me. They laugh me out of rooms. And I have a suggestion.
You know, I know what it's like to be trying to make a name for yourself. You know, working your way up from it.
It's very frustrating. But my suggestion, Charlie, is that you know where there's a gambling ring. You know where you could bust that right open. I don't know. There might be other things that you know. And right now, your only crime is having a gambling debt. And I'm sure that would be easily looked over should you burst a crime ring right open. And I'm sure if you went in there with that knowledge and that information, they would also consider letting you sit again for that detective exam. Is that how it works, an exam? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Something like that.
And I could even help. I could help you sit that exam. And all I'm asking is that when you go in there and you say, you know, that you've bust this ring right open, you just drop my name. You say that I helped, and I can help in one very specific way.
Be good for me, good for you.
Yeah, I happen to know the owner of the club. So I can give you some names. I would happily be a witness, happily. But what I'm suggesting is that should you have any other information about any other crimes happening, you could put give up those names as well. And then they would have to make you detective because you'd be giving all this brilliant information about people who are breaking the law, which is, of course, the whole point of your job.
If I just so happen to have such information, I suppose I could pass it along. You know, as long as it's not gonna, you know. I mean, if I, you know, break this big case, maybe that's gonna outweigh some of my not so good choices.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah, and I'm also saying that should you be thinking about doing anything silly or not a great choice to fix a simple gambling debt, and then you get into bigger problems, eventually you won't be able to be a cop at all. And that's the opposite way to becoming a detective. That's you'll be some sort of traffic lollipop person. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you didn't become a lawyer by collecting postage stamps. You're pretty smart, eh?
Yes, I became a lawyer by studying and by upholding the law, which is novel, I understand, to some people. But consider it. And if you do take your information to the correct people, drop my name and let them know I have more information I can divulge.
You're not trying to say you think I'm up to something, are you?
No, I simply think that you could let them know there was.
Has somebody said something to you about me?
No. Why? Is there things to say? Look, don't say anything because I'm your lawyer, and just if you're guilty of anything else, just don't tell me.
I appreciate your concern.
All I'm suggesting is divulge that information to the authorities, of which you are one, and we can have a cleaner, better city with people not falling into gambling debts all the time. And you can have freedom, and then you could, can't you picture it? You could be a detective with the hat.
Yeah.
Anyway, just
Wouldn't that be
consider
swell?
it, and I'll think of some more ways that you could fix the gambling debts should you not decide to valiantly and heroically take that information straight to the authorities. Now I've got caught, so thank you for coming in.
You're welcome.
See, I have this. I'm kind of. See, there are two different ways this could go, because it all kind of hinges on how well Charlie is taking what's being said. Because on the one hand, if Charlie is being turned around a bit, then this would go well. This would be a white die. On the other, if this is now painted a target on Claudia in Charlie's eyes, then that's more of a black die.
I don't know. I think Charlie's kind of on the fence as well.
It could be a
What
thing
is-
where, if we consider Charlie even knowing that this point that this is Claudia, this sort of thing that Claudia is looking for, that could even in of itself be considered bad if we wanted to spin it that way. But that's depends on how do we feel.
Oh, this is the backstepping towards the precipice. This is bad. This is bad for everybody. Bad.
I feel it is. Okay, yeah, well,
Alright.
I think
No,
we'll
because
get-
I've caught him before he's gone bad. I've caught him before he's gone rotten. He's just got a bit of gambling debt. I've suggested he come in and just be straight about that. It makes complete sense. I think it's gone very well.
Oh,
for
sure.
me.
Well,
That's supposed to be my line, isn't it? I'm the police officer.
well, that's the interesting question. So we really get to decide whether this. Since you established, we get to kind of decide if this is a good or a bad omen for you. I guess as to how this is ending up.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we are focusing on the now, but the now is basically like, which way is this? Which way has this is more of a potential for based on Charlie
This
now
is where
knowing that you
TV
want this.
TV tropes says everything would pour from here.
Yeah, that's fair. I think this is probably I think this is very dangerous for your character. I feel as though this is going to be a black die.
Yeah, I'm
But you
gonna
get to give it
die.
to someone.
Yeah, who do you want to give that to?
I'm definitely gonna die, guys. I know it already. I would like to give my black dice to Jim for not agreeing that I'm gonna turn this crooked cop around.
Okay. Excellent. All right, Pope, you want to establish or resolve?
Oh, we are establishing. Early at the club, slinging drinks behind the bar, speaking to Charlie about their debt. Because it's already 2 weeks past due. Hey, Charlie, how's it been?
Eh. Not too good, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I hear you. So, I have this cousin. She's a bit of a busybody. Likes to do the entire holier than thou thing. But again, she came into money. I came
Sure,
into this
sure.
club.
Every family's got one of those, eh?
Yeah. Well, she came in the other day talking about, gambling debts. And the only one who isn't up to date, hasn't, paid everything off square, is you.
About that.
Yeah. Now, Little Bird told me you were over at the track the other day. And I'm guessing that didn't go so well either. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
I'm trying to get you your money.
I
Swear.
I understand and I appreciate that. Again, you're a nice guy. And you help keep the neighborhood clean. And I thank you for that. So here's what I'm proposing. So I can wipe out the debt. We're square. And I can maybe arrange for you and two others to have an afternoon golfing with Mr. Gable. Maybe work on that promotion.
Really?
In exchange, there is a particular thorn in a number of people's sides back at the track. Little Napoleon is his middle name. A jockey named La Paz. I'm not saying anything terrible needs to happen to the guy. I'm just saying that he needs to not be in town for a while. Now, there's somebody else who is also on hard times. I'm not going to have you, try and figure this out all on your lonesome. One of the best acts that comes in here, the Poker King, Tony Clifton. Sort of similar situation. What I'm proposing is two of you figure out this Napoleon situation. Take care of that. Everything's square. I'll make sure you have that golf date. Sound fair?
Sure.
I knew I could count on you, Charlie. All right. Here's Tony's number. He's staying over at, I believe he's over at the bungalows, over at the chateau. Call for him up there. You can meet him. Good bar. Figure things out. And Napoleon nothing terrible needs to happen to him. He just needs to go away. Okay? All right. Hey, don't look so down. You take care of this. I'm certain you're going to make detective after that golf trip. All right? Anyway.
Sure.
Drinks on the house for the night. Take it easy, kid.
Appreciate it. Because Charlie's gonna need it.
I feel as though that went well for Silas.
Delightful.
If we're in agreement, then who do you want to give that die to?
I'm going to give that die to you, Jim.
Okay.
We'll give you that white die.
All right. So, Anino, this is the last scene of this act. You get, once again, to decide whether you want to establish the scene or resolve it.
I think I'll resolve it again.
Okay.
That was a lot of fun. I'll go against the grain.
All right. So once again, remember, at any point during this scene, you can just declare that this is going to go well, and you can tell us how, or you can just declare it's going to go badly and tell us how. But we can. So let's see. What do we want to do to Tony here? I mean, we could. The obvious thing would be again meeting with Charlie. There's been so much. There's been so much of that. We can do more of that though. Do we want to do the meeting with Charlie, or do we want to do something else?
I think we do the meeting with Charlie, but we skip a little bit ahead. How about this is a 3-person meeting? This is Herzog, Charlie, and Tony figuring out what thing they're doing.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Whether it's going after the box or it's going after Napoleon.
Could be the meeting this could be one of those things where it's like we both show up when it was only supposed to be like one of us.
Chateau Marmont bar, late evening. 3 candlelit table, drinks all around.
Yeah, that can work. So I guess which one of us is the one that shows up first, and then.
Because this is the last tilt.
Yeah. Tony's gonna have to show up fashionably late.
Oh, okay. So this is one of those things where it's like I feel like, maybe. Okay, so maybe this is one of those things where Tony and Foster were supposed to meet here, so Foster's waiting for Tony. But this is Tony's scene, so it needs to start with Tony in it. So this is when Tony shows up, and it could be that it could be either both of us are there, both Charlie and Foster are there already, or it could be that Charlie comes in during this scene. I'm kind of leaning toward Charlie comes in during the scene, but how do you folks feel about that?
Yeah.
Sounds good, just like the most awkward moment.
Yeah, because Foster assumes this is just going to be a one-on-one meeting. All right. So, that's the scene. Is you come into this bar, and I'm basically at a sort of hail you from a side table.
Tony just shifts in his jacket a little bit and makes his way over to the table and sits down. All right. What do you got for me?
All right. Well, we do have a potential. I do have a potential person for a, shall we say, a bit of an extracurricular activity. So it may be entirely possible we shall have the. We shall have this key in our possession soon.
Right.
In the meantime, I've also, of course, gone over your various tax information. I've got a few just got a list of a few things you should probably look into, and just sort of let me know one way or the other, and then I can, we can work with that. But you don't have to worry about that right now. But and I'll just sort of hand you this piece of paper with like this long list of things. As for how this is all going to go, you're going to need to be obviously in a particular place. In any place that's other than your this lawyer's home. So you can just anywhere where you can be seen in public. It's going to be in the morning. Can you do that? Do you go golfing or anything like that?
No, I try not to play any sports. Don't want to hurt my hands. Gotta squeeze that accordion, you know.
Fair enough. But as long as you just for again, like I said, deniability. As long as you've got somewhere that you can go where people will see you, That's kind of the important thing, so they can know that you're not at all associated with whatever it is that happens.
All right, but you can't actually get into that safe deposit box without me. You know that, right? There are only 2 people on the list who can access that safe deposit box, and my name's one of them.
No, of course.
All right.
I don't
So
think
we're
it's going
clear.
to be anything to. I don't think it's going to be anything to worry about. And he just sort of gestures for another drink to be brought over. I think it should be fine. And I think that this is probably more or less when I think it's going to be in the middle of this sentence that I'm about to say that Charlie shows up. Where I'm basically going to say, I think that the important thing, of course, to remember is that now I cannot tell you who it is that we've set up, so that way, the less you know about that, the better. So that way we don't have any particular problems. Sort of trails off as he sees who's approaching.
Hey, Tony, right?
Oh yeah, you're the copper I met down at the track.
Yeah. How's it
Yeah.
going?
Yes, we were just having a meeting of sorts.
Oh.
Just
Sorry
A
to
little-
interrupt.
private meeting of sorts.
Just happened to be in the neighborhood, saw a familiar face. I can come back later.
Actually, Anino, do you think this is going to go well or poorly for you?
I think it's actually going to go well for me.
Okay, so in that case, I feel as though this is where we're gonna probably slip up, and you're going to realize that this is who it is that I've got doing the job. So we're just sort of looking back and forth, and it's like,
Well, I guess we don't have to really spell out what's going here.
damn it. Yeah. This is you and the officer Chandler know each other, yeah?
Yeah, we met down at the track. Had some poor bets going.
Oh, you met down at the track. Of course you met down at the track. Why did I not think about that?
I don't know. It's a small town. Everybody thinks that it isn't, but it is.
Charlie, would you like to have a seat? I suppose we're going to have to yeah, I think the cat's out of the bag.
Oh, seems like I'm not the only one with money troubles around here.
Yes. Well, I'm sure we could fix all of that. I mean, given that the number of things that could happen coincidentally could go up right about now. I mean, it does take money to make money. And I think that once I get my hands on some capital, we all might be able to make a sure bet.
This would be more gambling, yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
What kind of thing, dare I ask? Do you have plans that can't be worse than I suppose than breaking and entering? Yeah.
I mean, you're only just breaking and entering for a key. You should probably just make sure that the key gets put back where it was lost at some point. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the lawyer doesn't work on Saturdays, but the bank is open on Saturdays. So if someone were to, pick up the key on a Friday night so that can access the box on a Saturday and then return the key.
Yeah. And they just sort of kind of nod. Yeah, that's very sound. Yeah. What's this?
And I think that's where, I think that's where your involvement should end. There.
Well, it could. However, I have become rather interested in hearing about this investment. I'm quite certain also that there are co-workers of mine who are also rather interested to hear about these things, and I think that perhaps it would be a good idea if you just let me know so that I can make certain that they don't have that to worry about. It would be rather unfortunate to have more of that on your plate than you need.
Well, I'll tell you what. I will give you a fair cut of whatever we get in exchange for you making my tax problems go all away. And I'm sure I can spare you this figure. And he'll take out a piece of paper and write down something and then slide it over. It just says a lot. I wasn't very good at numbers, so,
And I'm sure we can fill those in. Now, if you'd like me to help you with filling those numbers in, of course, I can certainly do that. I think we can come to an arrangement here that will be profitable for all of us.
I guess the question is whether or not Charlie's in or not.
I suspect Charlie might be muted.
I don't think so.
Oh.
Still sounds like a bit of a gamble to me. Then again, can't exactly have the two of you letting a bad word slip to my boss, could I? Seems I've got myself in a bit of a bind.
I mean, I feel like this can be quietly shot shot your way out of.
Yeah.
Oh, you wanted to shoot someone. Oh, I thought this was going to be something serious. No. Now, believe you me, if there's one thing I've learned working at the Internal Revenue Service, there's all manner of things you can get away with so long as you're not cheating on your taxes.
Well,
It's
see, there
not-
you go. We've got an expert. So are
Seems
we?
like a bit of a threat.
I wouldn't say it was a threat. I think it's just a stroke of genius, actually.
Fair.
So, are we good on this scene? Is there anything else that needs to be spelled out or vaguely hinted at?
Clear as mud.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt the kind of that. Yeah, it's sort of. We seem to be leaning toward toward Charlie taking the job, possibly, and I guess that was the question more than anything else.
Taking both jobs,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
So
So much to do. So much to do. Okay, so that is so that went well for you as you prophesied. To whom do you want to give that white die?
I'll give it to Alyssa because she knows what the right thing to do is here.
Excellent. So we have now hit the tilt. So we are now halfway
The right
through.
thing to do. None of this.
Yeah. we are at the halfway point here, so we can go ahead now and do the tilt here. So here's what you do. So you're gonna roll. So I'm the only one with more than one color of die. That's good. Okay. So you need to roll the dice that are in front of you, that are in your little box there. So you can go over them. Right click, multi-sided, random side. And so what we're now going to do is we're going to see who has the highest total in each color. So right now, since I have two different colors, I'm actually subtracting one from the other because of the way this strange fiasco math works. So I have a net of 5 white. Has everybody rolled?
Looks like it.
Okay. Pope is going to have the highest black total because he's the only one with only black dice. So Pope's going to be one person who's going to be making a decision in a second on the tilt table. And it looks as though, Anino, you've got a total of 10?
Yes.
Okay. So it's going to be Pope and Anino who are going to be now. Now you must roll the dice that are in the middle. And if you want, I'll do it for you. But it's if you've got it, you just click and drag. Do you want me to take?
Please roll it for us.
I will roll it for you. Okay, we're going to roll the dice that are in the middle here. Okay. Now, this is just like when we did the setup. we've got we're grouping them out here. Only there are, of course, fewer. There are no 5s. And you're going to be looking at the tilt table. So the tilt table, it's I've got it under the handouts. So you should be able to see there. You have again six elements and things to define under those elements. So the way this works is that Pope, you get to select a die to choose an element, and Anino, you will get to choose a die to define that element, and then Anino, you get to choose another die to pick an element, and Pope, you get to define that element. And this is again from the dice pool that's in the center right now.
Oh.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got lost.
Oh, no problem. So if you look at the tilt table, it's just like the other tables that we started with in the playset.
Okay.
Can everybody see the tilt table?
Mm-hmm.
In the handouts. So you've got mayhem, tragedy, innocence, guilt, paranoia, and failure. These are things that are going to come up in the second act, basically. Or a couple of them might. So let's just start this off. Pope, you've got every number except 5. Which one of these things do you want? So it can be anything but paranoia.
We're taking one. We're going for mayhem.
Mayhem. Okay. So that's a 1 where you're going to set off to the side here. So, Anino, under mayhem you have 6 items. You have basically there. And again, you've got every number but 5. So what do you want to pick?
Oh, gosh. I'm going to say magnificent self-destruction.
Awesome. So, mayhem.
I mean, that's kind of what we're already watching.
Yeah, it's getting there. Magnificent self-destruction. Very cool. All right. So that was that's one element. So that's one element that's gonna happen in Act 2. And so that's that again. That's a 4. So I'll pull a 4 out here. So now Anino, looking still at the tilt table, you get again to pick any number but 5. You get to pick between mayhem, tragedy, innocence, guilt, and failure.
We'll go with guilt.
Guilt. Awesome. Okay, so that's another 4. And Pope, what do you want under guilt?
Someone develops a conscience?
Oh, hell no. Greed leads to killing.
Awesome. That'll take the last 4 there, over there. Okay. Greed leads to killing. So these are... In the second act, we lean hard into these elements in the scenes. And that is... and that will get us where we're going. So we now have our tilt elements. And if folks are good with it, we're going to take another quick break. As we've now hit that point. All right, folks, we will be back in a few minutes. See you shortly. Greetings. You are once more plagued with break material. It is our evil plan to have everyone sit transfixed until we come back from break. I don't know exactly how long this is going to time out to, but we'll see. So we are playing Fiasco today, and this is, I think, my favorite comedy RPG. But I wanted to ask Alyssa and Pope more about any other comedy RPGs that they've played, or RPGs they've played that have turned into comedy. Alyssa, I believe that in a previous conversation you said that a lot of your games sort of lean into that. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, for one thing, when the dice roll poorly, a good way to play that off with flavor is to make it a comedic scene, or just to laugh it off and have fun with it. but I also tend to, when I'm running games, have a lot of NPCs that will, make the terrible puns or the dad jokes or whatever. So everything sort of turns comedic anyway.
Do you have any games that you actually set out to have that being the case, where that's the goal, or is it just?
I don't know that I have games specifically that I set out, but I do have characters that I build to be comedic. I have a goblin bard in in various Dungeons and Dragons games. He pops into every once in a while. It started out we were playing and I was coming down with a sore throat, so I had this high squeaky scratchy voice, and I just kind of leaned into it, and then I called him Mo, so then obviously he had to have a couple of friends named Larry and Kirrily, and it just sort of evolved from there.
Yay! Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. Oh my god. Pope, what about you?
Paranoia. When you play something that is... Paranoia has two modes. It has horror mode, which I've done once. That was creepy. And then you have comedy mode. And it gets irreverent, it gets ridiculous. You end up playing to have the most glorious death ever, and then see what you come back as the cloning bats spit you out. I mean, the conspiracies and the names themselves, the SEAL Club, what your entire thing is to try and find a seal and club it. The alphabet gun. Anyone who has played Paranoia, once you get the alphabet gun, there is only comedy and terror to ensue. I mean, you said, or the double-barreled alphabet gun. You said to A and Z, and just pull the trigger both barrels, and let the ST do the rest. And then scrub bots. Things that are about making Alpha Complex clean, and they hate you for existing. So all these things, you can lean heavily into the comedy. You can have an irreverent time. As for comedy campaigns that I've run, superheroes, comic book characters lend themselves to comedy. Especially if you insist that everyone goes Silver Age. Along with their dialogue. Stop, foul villain! And everyone just gets into it and adopts it, buys in whole hog, and just goes. And that stuff is absolutely beautiful. You'll have a hilarious time. Didn't last long, but we all had a blast. And then we have things like Fiasco, where it's about the train wreck. It's about the ride. And you typically end up playing these terrible people, so it's less awful when awful things happen to them. And you just see where everything just falls apart. And the thing is, you can see the train wreck coming ahead of the characters, but the characters irrevocably just... it doesn't register to them until they're in it. And that's such a unique experience. And I think that's a beautiful thing about Fiasco and a lot of the different comedy games that are out there. For those of you who played the PBTA stuff, the wrestling game that's out there. Good heavens, you can just go completely ham. And it's a great time. And that's what a lot of folks are seeking. We do this to escape, we do this to play. And that's just part of the human experience, is comedy. When I'm doing even more serious games, it's the comedy will happen. You don't have to push it because you just find it. Like Jim, you can probably speak to this in doing Invisible Sun. something that's just so like high concept, I like shirk away in terror from it as a storyteller. But you've embraced it fully, and with your players, you have these light moments. We speak on that.
Yeah, for some reason, a lot of the game sessions in Invisible Sun do become about having lunch, and then it's like, okay, what are you ordering? Okay, I have to do something surreal with it. All right. Now we're going to be dealing with surreal foods, and just sort of slides into comedy from there. So it does, that's fair. That's fair. There is a lot of that happens around Invisible Sun, but I think that's actually part of its charm. I will say, of course, Fiasco is one of my favorite RPGs, and has been for quite a while. As far as games that other comedy games specifically, I played Paranoia once, then I ran it last year, I think it was, for a little while, that was a lot of fun. Having seen Red Dwarf helped with that a lot, as far as putting that together. And that in Brazil. Brazil's a big sort of influence on the original game as well. And of course, one of the things I was so pleased to discover and finally play was Everyone is John. Finally well run. I've never actually played it, only run it, but there's just something that happens when I run that, and I can't explain it. I've run it mostly online. I've run it once at a convention now in person, and in person we just ended up cackling throughout the whole thing. It was glorious. There is just something about that game that that just does something for me when I run it. I can't fully explain it, but it is very cool game to run off the cuff. And of course, the first game that I ever ran on this channel, Inspectors, is very much a comedy game. It's basically Ghostbusters, it's always a delight, especially because you get the players to sabotage themselves. It is wonderful. But we have our own game to get back to here, so let us do that. Thank you, folks, very much for listening to this. Those of you who have not snuck off to grab a drink, although please, by all means, do that if you haven't. We shall now kick things back over to either us or to more break footage, depending on where we are. See you in a bit. We have returned. And we are now into Act 2. Since we are running late, we are running low on time, and that often happens the first time that you play Fiasco, so that's no big deal. We're going to do the rest of this second act is going to be just some rapid fire scenes. We're going to go through like 5 of them real quick. We'll sort of see where we are. This is going to be, I think, probably more action-oriented, more just sort of description-oriented. And we'll just kind of go from there as we get to it. Let's see. Hopefully we are good here. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, as it comes back around to my turn, is that I'm gonna say that we are smashing to Saturday morning, and what we see is that I think Foster's job in this whole in this whole situation is to keep people distracted. I think that's pretty much part of what he's supposed to be doing. So he has essentially a couple of plates in here where we basically just see him in this scene, kind of calling people in. It's again Saturday, so they're away from the office, but he has arranged a special kind of meeting to go over the basically the tax portion of the thing with the lawyer, and he's kind of helping to sort out. And so we basically, I think, just sort of see him in keeping the estate lawyer busy. We just see a couple of things of him trying to do things to keep the estate lawyer busy as he's going over numbers, and that, I think, unless you wanted to pull him into anything on the jockey side of things, although that may end up showing up. What do you think that he is going to be? Is this going to happen? Is it going to be successful? Is this going to go well for him or poorly for him?
I think this goes well.
Yeah.
I think this part of everything, it hasn't hit that oh no moment.
Okay.
So this part goes solidly.
Okay. So in that case, I'm going to take one of our few remaining white dice, and in this act, you keep your die, and so that's what we see, is that he kind of is very successfully distracting people in getting this in getting this portion of the of things done. And it is over to Alyssa.
Right. So I guess this would be the part where Charlie is attempting to subtly get in and get out with that key.
Excellent. So this is the bit where you're at. This is the B&E. All right, cool. Are there any other details you want to give us, or is that it? I'm good either way. We just want to know.
Has he done anything like this before?
Aside from, probably people have locked their keys in their car or locked themselves out of their houses. So technically, yes. Technically, no.
Do we want this to go? This part to go well for Charlie, or do we want it to go badly for Charlie?
I think this part, there's a success in getting the key, but something goes wrong.
Okay.
Like, the physical evidence left behind, or they had to make this much louder.
Or it's not the right key.
But they come away with a key. So, black die.
Yeah, like you come away with a key, but there is. I think maybe what we do is we see you running out of the premises. You've got a key in your hand, but there's an alarm going off.
Oh no! Oh.
If that works for folks. Okay.
Okay.
That could lean into magnificent self-destruction if we want to go there.
I mean, Charlie is already on that path.
Oh, there you are. All right. Okay. So for Claudia, what do we have going on?
Oh, okay. So you just see Claudia going to the cleanest cop that she knows from being in courtrooms and such, and just divulging as much information as she can give over, including totally ratting out her cousin, and then suggesting that there could be more, and that she doesn't really think that Charlie's going to come around. She thinks Charlie's bitten off more than he can chew and is probably already a lost cause, so she rats Charlie out as well, and maybe suggests that they raid the club at some point.
I think this goes well based on just Claudia's.
Agreed. I think this is going to be a white die. This is getting all of the police marshaled. All right. Pope.
I thought the only problem could be is if I accidentally hit on like an also dirty cop. But I feel like I know enough about the courts and stuff that I could find one that we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, I think we can say that you hit mostly the clean cops, so that way that puts a lot of pressure on everyone else, which is good. Okay, Pope.
We see Silas and a couple of suited, very large gentlemen at the track in one of the boxes with binoculars overlooking the track, and then just Silas panning specifically over to the dugout where the jockeys are meeting and just staring.
Okay. So
surrounded by mobsters, and here he is with the binoculars just waiting.
Just waiting. And so I guess the question is whether this will go well for you or not. Because do we think he's going to see the kind of things that he needs to see through these binoculars, or do we think he's not going to?
So I think this depends on timing. So just to recap, Tony's idea was to raid the safe deposit box, pay off Foster's cut, take the money to the track, and bet on the second likeliest horse to win.
Right.
With the presumption that Charlie would murder or somehow prevent the first jockey, Napoleon, from actually winning the race.
Okay. So I think then perhaps Alyssa should tell us whether that's going to be happening or not.
Yeah. So I mean, this is going to largely depend on whether or not I happen to get the key and get into the lockbox.
That's true. Yeah.
With that, I think I'll add a little something, is looking through the binoculars and then down at a pocket watch and sweating.
Yeah. I feel as though there's going to be a delay. But
damn it.
What do you folks think?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's already not going well for Charlie.
I think there we go.
Let's share the darkness. There you go.
Give me that black die.
Okay. And it's over to Anino.
All right. So I guess my scene is going to be at the bank with Foster, and he's using the key to open the safe deposit box. It's just him and Foster right now. The bank reps aren't supposed to see what goes on with the safe deposit box, that sort of thing. So need to determine whether or not this actually works out.
I feel as though maybe if we decided this is the wrong key, that it's not going to.
I think there's just this horrific scene where it looks like it fits, it goes in, but then it doesn't turn.
Okay, so what if it is a safe deposit box key? It's just not to the box that belongs to his late wife. It's another box that happens to be there, and they were at least fortunate enough to find, the number on the key so that they could match it up with the box in there.
And I like the idea of they open the box and Foster looks incredibly pleased, but Tony just looks horrified.
We could do that. This is basically So if we want to give Anino a black die for this, then I'm good with that. If we want to give him a white die, then it's probably the other way around.
So if I'm horrified, it's probably something that I just can't take to the track and
Yeah.
bet with on a horse. So it's
Probably
like
not.
bonds or something.
Yeah. I think that
it
probably.
still could be very valuable.
Yeah, very valuable, but not in the way that you want. So
And
yeah.
especially not in the eyes of Tony.
Yeah. All right. So that's that round. So we can either do another quick round of these, or we can just assign the dice and then go to the aftermath. What do you folks think?
I think we just double up. On
Go
the
ahead and
dice.
assign these out. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the question becomes, who gets the white die?
I think Claudia gets the white die.
Yeah.
I'm not committing any crimes.
Yeah.
There's no capers happening with me.
All right.
I'm just doing my job. Well, no, I'm just trying to get this
one
thing.
over.
You're
Yeah,
trying to ruin the
respect
lives
for-
of 4 people.
That's
Trying to
right.
get- they ruined their own lives.
All right, so we're going to go to the aftermath table so we can see how all of this ends up for everyone. And this again will be you getting to do more narration for your character here, but it's very specific. So here's how we do this. There's a particular type of math involved that Kirrily and Pope will not have to do because they only have a die of one color. But everyone will need to roll the dice that are in their little boxes. And once you've done that, separate them out by color. Figure out what you have more of, and subtract the lower from the higher. So, for example, I have rolled apparently a 12. A total of 12 on the black dice, and a total of 6 on the white dice. So that means that I have a net of black. It's on the black side, and I've got a net of 6. And that's going to tell me what my fate is going to be on the aftermath table. So as we kind of go around, I'll go ahead and read out what that is, just so we can have these things in mind. We're just going to go around. So black 6 or 7 is pathetic. You'll suffer. Oh dear God, will you suffer? And everyone will know of your malfeasance, your stupidity, your lack of common sense and decency. You're probably going to be locked up too. That's what my fate is ultimately going to be, and I will describe how that happens in a moment. But we'll go around, and so to Alyssa, what do you have here?
Okay, I have 12 on the white and 9 on the black.
So you have a white of 3. So that is grim. The stress and trauma from your little adventure are going to haunt you forever. Bits of your soul are destroyed, and you're missing a piece or two. In a few years, children are going to cry when you get too close. All your plans have ended in complete ruin.
Of course.
So that's what you're aiming for. So going around, Kirrily, what's your total on your white dice
So
there?
mine is 6 white. So
Well, you've
hang on.
got like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, if I'm reading that
Oh,
right.
sorry.
You add them all the whites together. So that
I
actually...
think I might have added them together before I rolled them and then rolled them. So mine's good.
Yeah, so on the aftermath table, you've got basically anything upwards of 13. Fan-fucking-tastic. It's fat times ahead, safe and secure, that thing that would make your life better. Oh, you got it, absolutely. And then some more. Enjoy it. So that's that's where you're going to end up, and you're going to tell us how that is in a moment. Pope, what did you get? You got 4? Am I reading
rolled
that right?
4 on black.
Oh my God.
Or ones.
4 ones. So that means you got 4 black. Savage. That's the lowest you could possibly have gotten here. As savage as in something is broken or mashed. Maybe you got a permanent limp and a bad reputation, plus you totally fail. So that is going to be your fate here, sir. And Anino, what did you get?
I got white 1. Dreadful. So I am dead. Self-inflicted. And the people I care about are also probably dead. But that's okay, because I didn't really care about anybody. And, yeah.
All right.
And then I fucked up. So
Yeah.
I'm dead.
You
and
have
penniless.
redefined the term. Okay. So we're going to find that out. So with all of those in mind, let's see. So in this montage, we're going to see briefly this aftermath, and we get to say what we last see, as if this were a movie. We get to say, as we're going through, what it is that we last see happening to each of our characters. So for Foster, I think that basically we just see him walking happily out of the bank with these bonds in his hands, and then immediately getting jumped by cops and arrested. Probably jumped by federal agents, because it's that's who needs to arrest him at this point. He's just getting carried away from them, thinking that he was going to do well, but in fact he did not. And they're going to lock him up. And so, Alyssa, what is the last we see of Charlie?
I have an idea, but I'm gonna have to run it by Anino here. Did Tony try to pull a gun on Charlie maybe, and they grapple with the weapon, and then Charlie turns the gun around on Tony, and Tony accidentally pulls the trigger on himself?
So I want to say that Tony never made it to the track, because his plan blew up when all he saw there were bonds.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think that he would get very distraught about that. And I think his scene would probably end somewhere outside of the bank.
Well, in that case, Charlie probably just continues making bad life choices.
So we just basically see Charlie, just a montage of Charlie getting wrapped up in the same sorts of problems, the same plans, with everyone wanting him to do things over and over again.
Just mean drunk, following in his old man's footsteps.
Oh my god.
Never makes it past patrolman.
Oh jeez. All right. So what is the Kirrily? What's the last we see of Claudia?
So my idea is that the raid of the club found the mob connections or connections to the the bad people that Silas knew that needed this jockey dead or whatever. And so my idea, and Hope, maybe you can say if this is right or not, is that she's at the race course sipping a soft drink, sort of watching the cops deal with you, and then putting a pretty large bet on that really good jockey that everybody happened to want dead, because that seems like a pretty sure bet.
I think we're going to a minute. You don't. you're there expecting the cops to bust Silas.
Yeah.
Because we got savage, here's what I'd like to do. So you're there, you're sipping your drink, you win. But in that win, we just see like Silas turn like flop sweat as these large gentlemen just sort of like grab him, throw him in a car. Then we see him roll into a ditch, bloodied and battered. And then next, we see him like in a hospital bed, like near full body cast, with you there and the cops turning state's evidence.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm offering to be your lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah, just complete humiliation, as well as just like permanent, like broken body, eyes swollen shut, just an absolute wreck.
Awesome.
I've got a lot of money now to cover your medical bills, so it's okay.
Yeah, because they seized everything else.
Anino, what's the last we see of Tony?
So Toady was really upset that he couldn't place the bet, and so he hopped into a car and tried to make it down to the track to tell Silas what's going on. Unfortunately, Tony doesn't really drive very well. In fact, he doesn't actually have a license. So in the aftermath, he happened to have come across that car that was carrying Tony, that was carrying Silas, and got T-boned by that car.
Okay.
And
not in a ditch, in a car crash. That's how they find Silas.
He
And
could have ended up
Tony
in a
died.
ditch.
He could have ended up in the ditch. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was kind of going for.
We see the impact, and we see that he was actually in the back.
Yeah,
and somehow managed to fly out one of the windows.
In fact, the only good thing that came from this was the fact that he still managed to somehow save Silas's life by getting T-boned by the kidnappers, and fortunately, Tony was not wearing a seatbelt. So, yeah.
All right, and that brings us to the end. So now that we have hit that, the interesting thing here is that we will now get to carry these events forward to the next fiasco, which will be next week. So next week's fiasco is going to be Hollywood noir. And that takes place after World War II. We get a few things we get to decide as a result of what happened this week. We're running a little short on time, so we don't have to go into it too much. But be thinking about, you get to we'll do this, I think, over the Discord, but just sort of decide. You each get to pick one element to hold for consideration in the next session setup. And by element, I mean that can be one of these relationships, or it can be one of the details. But it's the whole element. So, for example, if you pick need to get respect from the police by ratting on your friends, you can pull that out, that whole thing. Also, we need to we'll collectively decide one character that gets to be carried over. It can be any of the characters we played, or it can be one of the NPCs we created tonight. We mostly just saw from our own characters, but we could just sort of decide what character we want to see go on and appear in the next episode. Might be funny if it were the jockey, but that aside, but it could be anyone that survived this episode. So we just sort of we'll just sort of see, and again we can kind of decide that, sort of like vote on it in the Discord when sort of in between now and then. But that brings us to the end for now. So we're going to go ahead and go around and let folks say. And again, well, before we go around, I will just also say that generally speaking, now that we kind of have a better idea, everyone's kind of about how the whole thing works, the second session goes much faster. I think it's going to probably go a lot more smoothly, and I'm very much looking forward to that. But let's go ahead and go around and get final thoughts for this session. Again, just any final thoughts you have about this game, and where folks can find you online, anything you're doing. And I'm going to go... I was going to go counterclockwise and start with Anino if you're up to it, but if you are you okay being first, or
yeah, I can go first.
All right.
Yeah, my name is Anino. You can find me on the Twitters at Anino Gaming. I like how things looked great for my character at the first start, because it seemed like it was such an easy way to make a gob smack amount of money, and then he's the only one who ended up dying in this entire thing. Just one idea that I thought would be hilarious is if in this Hollywood Noir remake was in this Hollywood Noir episode is that they were doing a remake of the entire events of this into a movie.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Claudia's the consultant.
We could totally do that. That. That would be awesome.
Oh my god. So that's my idea at any rate. But anyway, I don't have a whole lot going on. Everybody is off to enjoy PAX Unplugged without the members present at this table. So I know, right? Screw them for having money.
How dare you? How dare you have fun?
I know. What's funny is that all the people that would be offended by that are actually now in Philadelphia right now instead of watching this show.
Fair.
So double fish shakes at you guys. Yeah, so anyway, I think actually this Saturday I do have a game on Valdrian's channel where I will be stepping into a Curse of Strahd game with gentleman who is very familiar with spycraft. So that should be fun. And then next week, we should be returning with another episode of Cyberpunk Red on Wandering DM's channel. Yeah, apart from that, that's it.
Very cool. Very cool. And Pope.
Hey, everybody, Pope here. Pope World Build on the Twitter, Pope World Build on the Twitch. I lurk in all your streams. If you want to see more of my ridiculous face, and you're not completely Curse of Strahd out, and want to see it with some neon, come join us next on December 15th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern over on Matev 7 channel for the dreadful beat of DJ Strahd, where we get to take on the curse of Baravia in the Retroverse. Also, please, by all means, come back here on Tuesday, see more of this train wreck as we continue further on. And if the PAX crud, the PAX Pox, doesn't claim everybody, next Monday on Tales from the Grim, come and see me get all Western for more Deadlands, The Road to Desperation, story told by that handsome gentleman. So, as for this, you can always, if there's a fiasco and I have time, I hope to be here. this is just an absolutely fantastic game. You get to tell such a different kind of story, and you go in knowing that it's all going to go wrong, and that's the delight. So you get to play these terrible people doing terrible things and getting their comeuppance. It's fantastic. So with that, love all of you watching, my fellow cast members, wherever you are, take care. I'll see you soon.
Excellent. And over to Kirrily.
Well, thank you very much for playing with me. This is my first stream, and I enjoyed it a lot. And also first time playing Fiasco, and I enjoyed that a lot too. I definitely will be looking into playing that at my tables, especially. I am an eternal DM. I never get to play anything ever. I have 4 tables running at the moment, 4 real world, full of friends tables that none of them have played before, so I run all of them. So yeah, very much looking forward to getting to play a character again next week. And if you want to find me, I'm on Twitter too, at Kirrily Bennett.
Yay! Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad you were here for your first stream. That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. And finally, Alyssa.
Hey, folks. My name is Alyssa. I am at Origami Shuriken on Twitter. This is the only stream I have going at the moment. I run some offline games, and I am prepping for more stuff in the new year. I keep saying this, but for real, it's coming. So keep an eye on my social media for the official announcement soon.
Yay! Awesome. Thank you all so much for playing. This was a delight. I do like. This is actually the second time I played this playset. This is the only playset that I've played more than once now, and it did not disappoint. It was a very cool sort of setup, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how elements carry forward and how things go in the next session, because I think that's going to be very cool. So as for me, I'm Jim Ryan. This is my channel. You can find me at OtherDoc on both Twitch and Twitter. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I've got links down below to my website, Twitter, and YouTube channel. So normally on Saturdays we have Invisible Sun here, because that's like the next thing typically that would happen this week. It's not going to happen this particular weekend as we've got folks traveling. There's a lot of PAX going on. But also, I've got stuff going on also, strangely enough, this weekend. So we're gonna take this weekend off, and we should be back weekend after. On Sundays we do one-shots here. The one-shot this Sunday will be Blue Planet. The new edition of that is coming out. That's called Blue Planet Recontact. That is a science fiction game set in the year 2199. It's on a distant ocean planet where humanity is trying to get its resources, but there are also things to deal with. Not only other humans, but then also the inhabitants of the planet. So that is definitely a thing to consider. Some very big questions are that are the topic of that game, and so I'm looking forward to playing that. As previously mentioned, on Mondays, I run Deadlands over on Tales from the Grim. That's Deadlands: The Road to Desperation, which is a lot of fun for me. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that on Monday, this coming Monday. We'll have to see how folks are feeling after PAX, but that's if all is well, that is where I shall be. And of course, then back around to Tuesday, 1 week from today, we will have our next Fiasco in line with these events, and this is built the foundation of the train wreck that is to come, and so I'm very much looking forward to it. Sign-ups also are open right now. Sign-ups are still open for Blue Planet. I'm probably going to close sign-ups by tomorrow morning. I'm going to actually get that cast so we can get that together. Sign-ups are still open for a continuing campaign of masks that's going to be going on next year, starting in January. The sign-ups are open until the 11th, so that is a week from tomorrow. So folks have until then to sign up if they want to play young superheroes powered by the apocalypse. Also, soon I'm going to get sign-ups up for an upcoming one-shot of To Serve Her Wintry Hunger, which is, I believe, another GMless game about winter spirits. So that's we're getting seasonal. So that's where we'll be with that. As always, beginners are more than welcome. Like I said, just click on RPG Sign Up down there, or go to jimmyesthatgym.com, click on Game Sign Up. That's how you get in. All right. When we hit the end card, I'm going to send a raid. Let's see. I have not raided Scabby Rooster in a little while. I'll go ahead and raid them. They're doing their LARP, which this is the only LARP that I have seen streamed on Twitch. They have a very very cool setup. They're very sort of contained setup that they do for it with their cameras, but it's very interesting. It's something they've sort of developed over time, and that a lot of the they're very powerful NPCs that kind of help deal with the mechanics. Basically, that's what they're there for. So it's a very interesting kind of setup. So if you're interested in checking that out, feel free to come along and say hi with us when we go to raid over there. That will be, again, when we hit the end card. In the meantime, thank you folks very much for watching. Take care, and I will see you next week. Farewell.